my volume mixer just to be sure to make sure I'm not retarded, but uh, no, I should be able to hear it, and I cannot.
Hmm, let me check real quick.
Oh, I can hear myself now on the stream.
You hear me?
I'll just wait for you to say something. One sec. Okay, yeah, I can hear you.
Let me check real quick.
Okay, okay, I think it's fine now.
Okay,
Um,
okay. But yeah, nothing else picked up previously. What we said.
uh, does not look like it. Let me go back. It
You
did
hear
not,
me?
no.
Ah, damn. Okay. Well,
So new
sorry.
start.
All right, so restart. Yeah, restart. Yeah, welcome everyone. Today we're going to be responding to a response video to me over a video I made around 2 weeks ago responding to the Birdman, otherwise known on this channel as the Bird Brain, from a guy called Logix. Because he lives up to his name. He lives up to his name because I didn't find his points very logical. Also, I think I hear an
I'll
echo
have
a
you
bit.
know, that's poisoning the well, buddy.
Yeah, I know it's poisoning the well, but yeah, but that's just the only reason I'm responding to this guy, even though it's like an older video. Yeah, but
Y-
yeah, this has to do with the Kingman Lee firing. And I thought it would be a good opportunity to also like clarify my positions on that whole like thing because some people uh like saw my video and were confused by it. Also joining me today is my always dependable co-host Jan. How are you doing, buddy?
I am fine. Apparently, I'm a bit quiet. I think that might just be the nature of my mic at this point because I don't have a very good one, but
Yeah,
everyone can put up with it. And yeah, I think there's a little bit of an echo again. But let me check how bad it is.
I think it's fine now.
Yeah, I think
I
it's fixed now. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, but before we start, since I guess we can wait for chat to catch up a bit. Uh, I'm planning on seeing some films. I'm planning on seeing Chris Stuckman's Shelby Oaks film sometime soon. I've heard mixed things about it.
I've only ever heard bad things about Chris Stuckman's movies, unfortunately, which is yeah.
I mean, I've only heard bad things of his reviews. I don't know anything about like his film, but I do know like a lot of people were hyping it up initially, say like 80% on Rotten Tomatoes. Whoa, like he's our generation's uh George Romero or whatever, and but then it just like gradually went down, and that still doesn't mean to me that still doesn't communicate that it's a bad film because I don't rely on solely on Rotten Tomatoes, but if you just solely rely on Rotten Tomatoes for good publicity, and now it's not like doing so hot,
Yeah.
you should reassess like how you evaluate quality. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, the thing is, I would expect it to do well initially because he's a person who has a decently sized fan base, and then I would expect it to drop off as number one, more people who, one, don't know who he is, two, don't like him, have also discovered it. So
Yeah,
I don't think a Rotten Tomatoes score tells us much of anything either. Because again, it's always worth I think pointing out Rotten Tomatoes is a horrible has like a horrible methodology for how they aggregate their scores, so it doesn't
yeah,
really mean anything.
yeah. I would say like in general, like if you know you're going to get a bad movie based on Rotten Tomatoes score, but you're also not going to the biggest films that types of films that benefit on Rotten Tomatoes or thrive on Rotten Tomatoes are mediocre films that are given overrated ratings, is what I find.
Yes, because right, because you could theoretically have all of the reviews be like a 5.5 or a 6, and you would get like an 80% rating. Well, you could get 100% in that case, actually, if they were all above a 5.5 or a 6, right? So
Yeah. E-Man, hi, what did I miss? Absolutely nothing. We're just getting started. We're just waiting for the stream, for people to come join the stream. The Simple Man 454. I don't trust anything made by critics because they focus so much on, I'm not like those mainstream creators, see? I'm not like those other girls. And fuck the basics up completely. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I feel like critics can be good artists because like look at Quentin Tarantino. He criticizes other people's films all the time, and he's, in my opinion, a great director. Some people say that he's overrated. I disagree. I love his style. I love his movies.
I think those people are just wrong. Like you're free to not like Quentin Tarantino, but like ultimately, how I feel about him, he's really fucking good at what he does. So
Yeah, I think about the thing about Quentin Tarantino is that he's since he's a mainstream director, people like stumble upon his movies without seeing anything else, and then they go down like an arc of like like a hipster phase of saying, huh, like like Quentin Tarantino, oh he's too mainstream, therefore he's too mainstream, man. But then when you after you see like a lot of other movies, uh like niche and underrated movies, and then go back to Quentin Tarantino's movies, you'll find that actually they are just really good. Uh,
yeah,
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 like
he,
the worst ones he's made are still like solidly like like a 5 or a 6 at least. So he's never really made anything terrible, I don't think.
yeah, yeah. You're right. The Simple Man 454. He's a one in a million freak, cinema freak.
That is true. Yeah, he definitely is in literally every way. He's
Yeah.
I think the best way to describe Quentin Tarantino, he is a man who has earned everything in his life, both the good and the bad.
But yeah. In other news, I saw Begonia Yorgos Lanthimos, his latest film. I love that. I love his films. I think he's a great director. He's done several films such as The Favorite, Poor Things, Kinds of Kindness, The Lobster, all great films. All films I would recommend. And Begonia, it's a remake of a South Korean film from the early 2000s called Save the Green Planet. Not very well known. I didn't know about it until that project was announced. But I checked it out. I checked both of them out. Thought they were thought they were both good, but I prefer Begonia, the remake, over the South Korean original. I'll probably make a video at some point giving my reasons as to why, like what I think about it, like what I think about the story. But yeah, so far, like I'm not gonna spoil anything. I would just recommend it. You guys check it out. Yeah.
Nice. For
Sab 3.
myself,
Oh, go ahead,
oh,
Jen.
I was gonna say I recently saw it's on Shudder when I was visiting my partner. It's a horror movie called Bore. It's an
Boar.
Australian indie movie. It's pretty
Was it a
fun. It's
boar?
not very yeah, Bore. I think it's just called The Bore if I remember. It's
Okay.
not very good, but actually it's all right. It's pretty good. The ending is kind of a clusterfuck, but it's a creature feature. It's all right.
Okay.
I'd recommend it.
Yeah.
It's
And
better than the fucking Conjuring, so the new one anyway.
yeah, last rites. Yeah, other than that, I think I said before that I'm considering like streaming some games on here. But I'm trying to determine which ones. I'm considering streaming that one new Telltale inspired game or just flat out Telltale game, Dispatch, since a lot of people are talking about it. And it kind of fits within, even though it's a game, it kind of fits within the channel because it's more cinematic than it is like a traditional game. I don't know
I've
if you
heard
heard
good
about
things
it,
about
Jan.
it.
You've heard
Yeah, I've
good
heard
things
good
about it?
things.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, because
I don't usually go for those kinds of games, but I've heard it's pretty good.
yeah. Uh yeah, so I could maybe we could do like a live review of the game as we
I'd be
play it in a blind playthrough.
I'd be down. Yeah, I'm always happy to talk about video games. I always recommend for spooky games. I always recommend Fear and Hunger, but it is an acquired taste kind of a game. So,
Yeah.
but then there's also I was recently replaying, and yeah, Resident Evil 7 is actually pretty good. If anyone hasn't played Resident Evil 7, try that one.
Okay. All right. Let's see. I think we can get started now. We have a decent amount of people. All right. So again, for those of you just joining, we are responding to a response video addressed to me from a gentleman known as Logix. Let's see what he has to say.
Yeah.
What am Logix back with another one. Today we're gonna watch a video of a YouTuber named KinoFlex who
That's me.
apparently plans to debunk the Birdman for his last video that he made on Kong Min Lee. Um, I was recommended to look at this video by somebody in my comments. Appreciate you. I'm sorry if I forgot your name. If I find that comment again, I'll post it. Thank you. But yeah, so I was interested to see the other side of the argument. Apparently, the Birdman was unfair to Kong Min Lee, and he's going to
What's the
debunk
picture
him.
behind him on the wall underneath the Blaze of Chaos? Is that Avatar? I think it's a pretty nice. It's a
I
nice like little.
don't know.
He's got a nice little setup actually for once.
Yeah.
I'm surprised. I'm impressed.
You got Aaron
It's
Yeager.
minimalist, yeah, but it works.
Yeah.
Spider-Man. They've all got
Along
like
with
the
the
same
spider.
pose. Yeah, is that along with the spider? Yeah, is that Carnage in the left?
Yeah, that's Carnage.
Uh,
I don't know who if this is a specific character or if it's just like a random gnome.
I think it's just like I think it's a cat with like a gnome hat on it. That's a Batman mask. I
Okay.
think that's a bit of creative expression. There is
Nice.
the printer to the right, but yeah, no,
Yeah.
his setup is all right. I don't hate it immediately.
Yeah.
He reminds me of Dami. Dami had a good setup.
Okay.
It's better than Ranting for Vengeance, that's for sure.
And I saw the Birdman mention him about something. He mentioned him in like a post, a community post, saying he does not going to take the time to respond to him. He got 3,000 subs. I got 4,000. So I'm not punching up or down. I'm punching across.
Yeah, that's
I
totally
am
fair.
curious to see though some of these people that try to debunk Birdman. In my opinion, he's really thorough with what he explains. I've seen other people try to do it before, and it's never really hits home to me, in my honest opinion. And it's not just because I'm a fan, but I really be trying to look at this stuff and see what they talking about. So let's see what he talking about. But before we
Okay,
get into it,
do
man,
you
make sure
think
you leave a
it's
like.
fair to say that the Birdman is thorough
Not at
with the
all.
questions
Not
he's
at all.
asked?
I mean, like from
Yeah,
what I've seen from his videos, like I haven't seen every single one of his videos, but from what I've seen from him, I'm not impressed.
yeah, I don't really know how we could say that, considering a lot of his videos seem to like even the Ironheart video, he'll like address specific quote unquote specific points, which I mean I would say he cherry picks them, but
Hmm.
and then doesn't rebut them very well. But like it's not as though he's responding to an entire thing like long form style. Also, like there's a lot of other creators that do what Batman does that like that I would say are more thorough.
Yeah.
I'd say Age Bomber guy's more thorough generally than the Birdman
Hmm.
when he makes videos.
Yeah. Well, especially for this video he's responding to, like really wasn't thorough. Like the part that made me want to respond to him in the first place didn't even have anything to do with Kingman Lee specifically, but just those same out of context clips that people use to demonize like Charlie Kirk for positions he didn't even have. But we'll get into that shortly.
Comment sub if not one,
And
then all
Cybergen
three.
Chat's absolutely correct as well. You can be thorough and incorrect. Like you can just be long-winded and completely fucking wrong about what you're saying.
Yeah, that's true.
So
See,
since I'm a
see
small creator,
organized
you just
chaos.
Yeah.
hit that hype button. You just scroll over from comments and you hit hype. It'll also push it in the algorithm. And if you want to have further conversation beyond the comment section, you can join my Discord, which is in the description below. Now let's get to the video.
Hey guys, KinoFlex here, back with another quick video. To my surprise, the Birdman, or as we like to call him here on this channel, Birdbrain, finally responded to me. Now I know what you're thinking. Did he respond to my Ironheart videos for his pathetic defenses of the show with numerous instances of him lying or getting things wrong in embarrassing fashion? Of course not, because he can't without making himself look like an even
I might have to look into that.
All right.
idiot. What he
Yeah,
actually
yeah, fair
responded
enough.
to was a post from myself where I call him out for his shameless grifting. In this case, where he joins in on a disturbing trend of creators going mask off shameless grifting.
So KinoFlex tagged Birdman and said the Birdman made a new video celebrating the firing of a Korean excuse me, of a Korean named Kangmin Lee TV for being conservative. Weird how he doesn't have the same stance towards people celebrating Charlie Kirk's death. And of course, he tells the same lies I refuted in my video on the Sea Empire 3 minutes into his video to justify his positive feelings over his passing. These guys are all the same. They can't process people they dislike or disagree with of being humans and will cackle like jackals when harm comes to them. Despicable. Uh, he didn't. It's not because he's conservative. He wasn't fired because he's conservative.
Ding.
Okay, well,
I mean, it's kind
I
of
I
yes and
definitely
no,
don't
right?
I definitely don't think Birdman would have cared if Kingman Lee or Kongman Lee wasn't conservative. That's like my main
Yeah,
thing.
I completely agree. Uh, yeah, no, it's also like, yeah, he was. I mean, you could say it's because he was. I guess it depends how you use the terms. I personally am not a fan of using conservative to like describe, I guess, people like Kingman Lee even because they're
Yeah,
very far
just right
on the
wing.
scale.
Right wing
Yeah,
would be like more correct.
yeah, uh, yeah, exactly. But like, if we're being like, a lot of people use the words interchangeably, and if we're talking about conservative, I mean, yeah, he was fired because of his very conservative views.
Yeah. Uh, don't worry, Toby, in the chat. I, when I have the time, I'll make a response to that certain black exploitation movie you want me to review. I actually did hear good things about it. It's apparently really funny.
Oh, also, I think it'd be worth stating outright. I don't know what your thoughts are, but like, because it gets like lost in the game of telephone sometimes in response videos. I think Hangman Lee's a retard, just like for anyone
Yeah,
who is
yeah, like
wondering.
yeah, and like later on in my video, I make it clear that you can find what he said offensive. I found some of his comments to be stupid, but I just don't view it as like worth firing someone over. You can we can
Yeah,
get into that later, but I think it just sets a bad standard.
yeah, it's fair enough.
Yeah.
In this case,
If that's the case, why isn't every conservative getting fired from their job if it's simply just because you're conservative?
Okay, well, most blatant, most straightforward answer is because not every conservative's boss is progressive
Yeah,
or like a weird progressive that doesn't value uh that that only values people for their political opinions.
it can also be like, yeah, this is just a very, it's kind of a false equivalence, right? Because you don't, it's not comparable. There's many different workplaces with many different conservatives who have many different levels of conservative views that they express. So like what he's saying just wouldn't be true. It doesn't necessarily follow if one is the case, then all are the case. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
Oh, so this is the Birdman's message where he was referencing this Kino Flex guy. He said, if you've been wondering why I don't respond to this little mosquito that's been buzzing around, look no further than this very post, referring to the post we just read. Apparently, I justify my positive feelings over Charlie Kirk's passing in my latest video, where I literally don't do that at all. Also, I apparently cackled like jackals when harm came to Kirk, even though this person cannot provide a single timestamp in my video or videos where this happened either, or any of my social media posts, or literally anything justifying his lie. So you see, people that constantly pester me to respond to this
Man,
clown simply watch.
I don't know if you want to retable this whole thing. I'll just summarize it with uh, literally every single person who exists in reality would accept that you can have beliefs and impressions of how a person acted that aren't just literally them saying I believe this thing explicitly, just so we're clear about
Hmm.
that. That's just like, and those beliefs
Yeah.
are going to be shaped by your familiarity with the person, like overall how believable you find them. There's a bunch of different things that go into it, but people really try to dissect like human intuition into like this hyper rationalistic bubble when that is not how, like, that's not how it works. It,
Right.
it can if you want to, but like you'll find yourself struggling, I think.
Yeah.
Him blatantly lie on me should be enough to debunk him. I mean, he literally says my video celebrates Lee's firing for being conservative. For being conservative. Nice Freudian slip. Genius. Anyway, why would you need me to debunk these claims when they're obviously untrue? You might as well ask me to debunk some.
Well, you need to explain why they're untrue.
Yeah, you've
Like,
not said why they're untrue. You just said they're obviously untrue. It's not. It's not. Which is fine. You can say that, but like you've not explained it, just so we're clear.
Yeah.
Someone saying the sky is polka dot. You should be smart enough to do that yourselves. I'm a nuke. He requires a fly swatter. Damn. So I guess I'm a fly
Okay.
swatter.
This is the other, yeah. Well, that's it's funny that he's like he's implicitly denigrating. He's such a dude. He's such a fucking asshole. It's so
I know.
He's like actually one of the least sufferable people on the internet. It's insane.
I know. Like
It's like,
it goes
yeah,
beyond having it goes beyond having an ego. It just goes it comes to a point of like a Napoleon complex almost.
yeah. I'm like this super genius. This guy's way beneath my pay grade. Someone who's implicitly dumber or less equipped to do this than me needs to do it, meaning that you, my audience members, are dumber and or less equipped than me.
Yeah.
That's great, man. Really good.
And look, I understand like some people like at the start would be like, "Oh, you're poisoning the well by like coming at this guy at the start." But like, man, when your entire like shtick is just being a hatchling for Bird Brain, like you kind of that reputation kind of affects how I look at you. Like, I'm sorry, like you're trying to present yourself as you're an unbiased like party when that's clearly not what you are.
Yeah, I have no problem if someone told me I like some of the Birdman's videos. I'd be confused as to why, but if they just said that, that's fine. But it's like, yeah, I mean, surely he would. Well, even he kind of noticed, like, oh, guess I'm a fly swatter. It's like, yeah, this guy is like. And I bet he's gonna be like, oh yeah, that's funny, but it's like, no, this guy, you need to understand, man. This guy's like seriously like a cunt, right? Like it's
Hmm.
just that's all he is.
Yeah.
That was a little corny.
Case where he joins in on a disturbing trend of
All
creators
right,
going
cool, yeah.
mask off over conservative commentator Charlie Kirk dying. While the video in question he made had to do with him responding to a conservative commentator by the name of Kingman Lee announcing that he was fired from his job, he did spend some time 3 minutes into his video lying about Charlie Kirk by falsely claiming that he encouraged an attack on former Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi's husband Paul Pelosi and saying that he encouraged gun deaths, both of which were refuted by me in a previous video responding to another YouTuber who did the same thing.
The specific example they kept bringing up is when I called women who celebrated the murder of Charlie Kirk hags and psychopaths. And apparently, that's unacceptable. What else are they? Calling them psychopaths is mild compared to the depraved gloating over the death of an innocent man.
Strange position to take there, Mr. Lee, when Charlie Kirk himself did exactly what you called these people psychopaths for. I mean, Kirk gleefully asked for a hero to bail out Pelosi's assailant.
If some amazing patriot out there in San Francisco
Yeah, this is
or the
just
Bay
not
Area
true.
wants to really be a midterm hero, someone should go and bail this guy out. I bet his bail's like 30 or 40,000 bucks. Bail him out and then go ask him some questions.
Here's the actual context of what Charlie said about Paul Pelosi's attack, where he condemns the attack and makes it clear that this comment was a joke, highlighting the terrible on-the-books bail laws in our country, where if the target wasn't a rich politician, then they would already be out on the streets terrorizing someone else.
Yeah, remember, Bird Brain is very thorough in his videos. He, yeah, he always checks to see like the full context of the clips before using them.
Politico says
Yeah.
top Republicans reject any link between GOP rhetoric and Paul Pelosi assault. Of course you should reject any link. Why is the Republican Party, why is the conservative movement to blame for gay schizophrenic nudists that are hemp jewelry makers?
Just for the record, that had nothing to do with why he attacked the Pelosi's.
Okay.
Breaking into somebody's
Sure.
home, or maybe not breaking into somebody's home. Why are we to blame for that exactly? And why is he still in jail? Why has he not been bailed out? By the way, if some amazing patriot out there in San Francisco or the Bay Area wants to really be a midterm hero, someone should go and bail this guy out. I bet his bail's like 30 or 40,000 bucks. Bail him out and then go ask him some questions. I wonder what his bail is. They're going after him with attempted murder.
Giddy's smile is crazy.
Political assassination,
I mean,
all
it's
this
a-
sort of
it's a
stuff. I'm not
joke.
qualifying.
Yeah.
You know? It's like,
I think it's awful. It's not right. But why is it that in Chicago you're able to commit murder and be out the next day? Why is
That's not true. I hate when they say that. Like that law that was so misunderstood. It wasn't it wasn't to get people out the next day that committed murder. It wasn't that serious of a crime where you could get out the next day.
Okay, well, that's still like if you're like a violent criminal, you could still get out on bail. Like this is like
Yes.
this is a law that is like no cash bail is a pretty popular idea in majority progressive run cities, and there have been consequences of
Yeah.
of their implementation, regardless of the
I mean,
intent. Like, yeah, I don't doubt that the intent isn't to have them out on the streets to murder again, but that is what some of these people out on bail are doing.
yeah, like the argument from that preference would be, you you know, we're giving them the ability, we're giving people who don't necessarily have a lot of cash on hand or whatever to like, get a bail going, so that they're not unfairly persecuted in comparison to like rich people who can afford bail. But it's like, yeah. Then also, and just like so clear, it's definitely like it's definitely happened with murder at some point, or like with an accused murderer. I'm like
Hmm.
pretty confident there have been cases. I don't know if it's specifically in Chicago, but yeah, that's not the purpose of the law, of course not. But you know, that's the issue with laws in general, right? Like they can be skirted, abused, whatever.
Yeah,
People
So
will
that you're
find a way around them or to use them to profit them.
yeah.
able to trespass, second degree murder, arson, threat of
I
public.
remember when this happened. This was some years ago, like probably around the time the Pelosi attack happened, and people was misunderstanding.
All right, what is this? While Illinois' Safety Act eliminated cash bail, it does not mean that murderers are simply released. An individual accused of first degree or second degree murder can be denied pretrial release and held in jail if a jail determines they pose a threat to the community. However, the change in pretrial release procedures has led to confusion and, in some cases, controversial outcomes. How the Safety Act affects murder cases: cash bail was limited, not detention. The core change under the Pretrial Fairness Act portion of the Safety Act is that a person's ability to be released before trial is no longer determined by their ability to pay. Instead, a judge considers a defendant's flight risk and their danger to public safety.
Okay.
Murder is a detainable offense. Under the Safety Act, first and second degree murder are considered forcible felonies and are explicitly listed as offenses for which a judge can deny pretrial release. Judicial discretion is key. A judge must hold a detention hearing and be convinced by clear and convincing evidence that the defendant poses a specific, real, and present threat to a person or the community, or has a high likelihood of fleeing prosecution. If the prosecution fails to meet this standard, a judge may be required to release the individual, a scenario that critics argue can be difficult to prove. Yeah, so look, this is kind of just he's like making the argument that it all depends on like the presented evidence of of a given trial. But there, I would still say like it would be like the judge's fault, like that one. Like if there's like a clear, if there's like a whoever's being prosecuted has shown like clear, like has time and time again shown that they are prone to criminality, and they're still given numerous chances to reoffend with no signs of rehabilitation, then yeah, like they're that's a fuck up. Like that one guy who like stabbed that Ukrainian refugee on the I think it was New York subway or arena. I forget his last name, but yeah, like that guy was he was arrested around like 14 times, like
Yeah.
once for assault or armed robbery, but he was still let out. Like someone like that should not be given that many chances. And
Yeah,
I,
exactly.
yeah,
Well, I was just gonna say, with everything that's said in this, there is absolutely nothing saying that like. To be clear, I don't fucking know the law nearly enough to make like a judgment call definitively. But like, there's nothing in the here saying that you can't commit a murder, pay bail, and then be let out. It just says that you're probably not going to be if they consider you a public safety or a flight risk, right? Which they might not. Like, it depends. That's up to the judge at that point, right? So.
yeah. Also, sorry for the volume.
I think the issue
Yeah,
is the volume on the video is really quiet. We are fine as far as I from what I've been able to hear.
Yeah,
Pretty
yeah.
good.
Yeah, I have it put up all the way. We are listening to you guys, but there's little we can do. Like I'm looking at OBS, like it's also like as high it can be.
Do you have the video turned up like to max on YouTube?
Yeah, yeah, I do.
Okay. Put on subtitles. No, just kidding.
uh,
The auto-generated subtitles.
this hope.
Let's see.
All right, how's this
Just
sound?
the intent, not the failure.
All right, chat.
Well, again,
How does it sound? Because you sound you sound louder on my end.
I think I sound like, again, I think on the thing we sound fine. Like we sound fine. The video doesn't sound very loud. If you just play the video for like a second.
I can't quote it. If I find it, I'll post it, but I can't quote it verbatim. But it wasn't
Right,
you wasn't able to get out the next day for murder.
Official.
Like pause it. Just doing a sample.
There we go. He's louder
Okay,
now.
he's louder now apparently. All right, cool.
All right,
All right, cool. Yeah. Good. We can hear him. Cool.
nice.
Cashless bail. This happens all over San Francisco, but if you go after the Pelosi's,
And that's the reason. And the reason they was doing stuff like this is because bail shouldn't be incumbent upon the fact that you have money. That's not just. If we want a just system, that's not
I mean,
just.
Okay, well,
literally yes. Like literally
mean,
yes, though, right?
but-
Like,
but I could counter this by saying, okay, but the solution to that isn't to let more people out on bail if they're active threats to the community. It's to be harsher on people who skirt consequences with money.
yeah, and also like to be clear, like that is kind of the point of bail, right? Like you can bail yourself out, or people can bail you
Yeah.
out. But like if you don't have money and you commit a crime, yeah, it's gonna be tougher, right? Like, but that's just, I mean, in some ways, yeah, like you said, that's unfair. But then, of course, what we do is we punish. Like, I would be completely fine with there being higher like bail standards for people who commit like white collar crimes. You know
Mhm.
what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that'd be fine. But then you also do have to consider the nature of that, right? Like, why is like as much as like fuck that guy, right? Someone like, I don't know, like a Wall Street yuppie bro who's like scammed people with a Ponzi scheme. Realistically, he's less of a risk to like public safety than, unfortunately, a person who's like a psychopath and has just committed 2 murders. And yeah, sure, one of them is broke. Um, you know, in this case, the psychopath. But like that doesn't change the fact that like people being at risk of committing murder is more a risk than someone fucking scamming you with like BitConnect or something, right?
Yeah. And if you like really do not have the means to afford to be out on bail after committing like a crime you were 100% in the wrong for, like that, I'm sorry, but that's still your fault. Like that's just more of a reason why you shouldn't have committed that crime in the first place. Like you need to acknowledge
Yeah.
that what you did was a fuck up.
Yeah, and it's like, the assumption is like, oh, what if they didn't commit it? They can't go out on bail. It's like, yeah, I mean that sucks, of course. That is a
Yeah.
situation that is shit, right? And I'm fine with that being like recourse that they have for that case. But like, let's not pretend that again, this is the issue with laws. It's risk mitigation, right? Would you rather have someone like a murderer get released back on the streets and then murder someone again, or unfortunately there will be people who will just spend like, I don't know, 30, 90 days pre-trial and fucking in jail, right?
Yeah, yeah. Like I get it. It's shitty. It's shitty how some people are born into better circumstances over others, but that still doesn't change the fact that you still have control over your actions to prevent like your circumstances from getting worse. So don't commit crimes if you can't afford to not be released on bail.
Yeah,
To me,
and
it's just simple.
yeah, and like the thing is, I'm not saying obviously it's prison, right? It's not good, but they're not going to
Yeah,
be in like general population at a max security, right? Like just so we're clear, while they're
yeah.
pending trial. In some cases, as I understand it, they're going to be held at the station even. So like, yeah, like nothing horrible should happen to them.
Yeah, of course.
That you can only be able to bail yourself out if you have the money to do so. That was part of the reason. It shouldn't be that way. That doesn't really feel just when you get caught up in the legal system to where you can only post bail if you got the money to do so. There's an argument to be made. Whether you agree or not is different, but there is a real argument there.
Oh, you're let out
Okay,
immediately.
the thing that I would like, the thing that I would like need from him at this point is like, so you need to just concede though that Birdman like was lying about this, right?
Yeah,
Well, like I
like
don't know if he was lying, but he was wrong at the very least.
he was misleading his audience, like just 100%
Yeah,
by
because like
making it.
that,
Yeah, because he was
yeah,
clearly telling a joke here. You can say, yeah, it's a dumb joke, like, but he was making a larger point about bail reform and on the books bail laws, and he wasn't saying that Paul Pelosi deserved to be attacked or that his uh,
yeah,
attackers should have been celebrated. That's just completely, that's just
yeah.
not true.
Got it. And I want to reiterate
This is
for
a
all the
terrible point.
degenerates that are watching that cover our story, we do not endorse political violence. We're a movement of peace and of love and of truth. And we hope Paul Pelosi recovers.
Said
Yeah, so that's pretty much like the
Yeah.
the like the bullet to the head for that argument.
Yeah.
clearly that gun deaths were acceptable as long.
Now, for everybody that's wondering, I've seen Charlie Kirk in context. That was one of the weaker points that people was trying to harp on with Charlie Kirk.
Okay.
Like
Okay.
that was weak. Like I said, when people were saying he called somebody
enough.
a chink and he said jank, that was weak. The
Mhm.
context of this was bad. Was there another one? It's not that many. It's not that many times where he was taking even there's a little bit of grace I even give with the stoning gay people thing. That wasn't an advocation. He was just referencing it. Of course, like, and this is me trying to be as good faith as possible. Like, I don't want to always attribute the worst faith interpretation of everything just because I disliked him. I don't want to do that. So even that one, it wasn't necessarily an advocation. He was just referencing it in the conversation. And that was one of the ones too where, like, even when I have my conversations and reasons why I don't like Charlie Kirk, I don't use those.
Just to be clear
ones
as well, I think all this is completely fine. What he's saying.
Yeah.
I just hope that he's aware that Birdman wouldn't like agree with any of this.
Yeah, he would attribute malice towards him.
Yeah, like 100%. He
Yeah.
would not. Birdman would not do this,
Yeah, so
which is the problem.
yeah, so kudos to him for at least acknowledging that, hey, uh, for acknowledging the facts at least.
Yeah.
where people take the small section of it and then try to attribute something else to the claim. So yes, that one is kind of fair. People were taking that, and the full context of it isn't the same. You can still say it was a shitty thing to say, but
Sure.
when you take all
Sure.
that into consideration, it ain't fair. Now, does this absolve Charlie Kirk of the other shit he said? Absolutely not. But there's times
what other
people say
shit?
fucked up shit, and there's times
I wonder
I'm
what.
pretty sure it's going to be the civil rights stuff because that's like the main, like, it just optically sounds bad what he
Mhm.
said. Even if I
Yeah.
know he didn't mean it in quite the same way, it's hard to say that.
Yeah. Yeah, because even if you want to like make a critique, you have to be like very like well read.
Specific.
Yeah, you have to be very well read, just like already. Uh, it for people to understand your point, they have to be very like in the trenches already, just like very knowledgeable of certain things. So out of context, it sounds bad. I agree.
where people take something somebody said and then they fuck it up, and it's not necessarily what you thought it was.
As long as his political beliefs were upheld.
But I think it's worth it. I think it's worth to have a cost of, unfortunately, some gun deaths every single year.
Okay, so Jan, we can agree that people who bring
Yeah.
up this clip are trying to put this idea into people's heads that he doesn't care about gun deaths, or that
Yes,
yeah,
that is the purpose of the clip.
yeah, or like invoking this clipped, yeah, this
I-
out of context clip, yeah.
Yeah, like we've been over it a few times. I just want to like do the quick rundown. It doesn't work on multiple levels. Most importantly, Charlie Kirk at no point says that it's a good thing that people are shot. He doesn't say that in this clip at all. So yeah, he's saying that you need to make sacrifices to get other good things going sometimes, and unfortunately, the sacrifice for people, I think he says in this clip, driving, right, is there's going to be some car deaths every year. People would argue that, oh well, you can get your license taken away, you can get arrested and put in jail if you shoot someone, so there are
Mhm.
consequences for both, just so we're clear, legally
Yeah.
for the perpetrator. And then the other thing is this also doesn't work because they're saying, oh, like I guess some people are saying, oh, he's a hypocrite, right? Like, or like it's funny how it's ironic he died by a gun. It's like he doesn't give the impression in this clip that he's like, oh, but not if it's me, right? Like, as
Yeah,
far as we're aware, he might, you know,
yeah,
he died exactly for what he believed, which you might even say that's a little bit admirable. I don't personally know enough about the guy to make that claim, but yeah, you could say that it's pretty, yeah, like it's okay, sure. He's sticking to it at least, right?
yeah, a lot of people would just say like a lot of people would say what he's doing here is principle, is respectable because he's acknowledging that there is a cost to having guns. However, like there's also there are
Yeah.
pros and cons to every action. Like Thomas Sowell, like when he describes like one of his famous quote that's attributed to him is that there's no such thing as solutions or straightforward solutions. There's only trade-offs, and there are clearly trade-offs to being a nation that has like massive gun ownership. Yeah, there like obviously there's going to be gun deaths. However, there's also benefits to having guns, such as deterrent towards such as being a deterrent to crime or violence occurring to you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
People really want to simplify this conversation. Uh, it's not simple, is kind of the point, really.
yeah.
so that we can have the Second Amendment.
Also, quick shout out to Telesto in the chat. I saw Birdman say he would not respond to you. Yeah, he said that I'm not worth his time. Apparently, I'm too small.
He
I'm
doesn't respond to fucking anyone other than the selection of like people that he calls grifters. Like, just
yeah.
so we're clear. Birdman, he made like I think he made like a response to quote unquote like Madvicat at one point,
Hmm.
but like that was like it. He doesn't respond to fucking anybody because he's a coward. Like, it's not, he's a smug. Again, like I really just need to drill this in as well. Like, Birdman is not a good person, right? Like, at
Yeah.
least in the way he acquits himself in online discussions. I don't know anything about his personal life, but he's not a good faith actor at all.
Yeah, it'd be one thing if he were like engaging in like civil or cordial disagreement videos where he has like like a healthy back and forth with someone and says like, "Hey, I disagree with this person's points in this video, but I don't want them to be disillusioned in making videos. Like I respect the person, yada yada yada." But instead, just like
Yeah,
this is the worst person on
yeah.
YouTube. Like they need to their channel needs to be terminated. It's just like quit being
Yeah.
such a crybaby, dude.
Yeah, it's like I wouldn't. You don't even need to be. Hey, you don't even need to be super nice. You can be like, hey, I don't like this guy. I think that his points are like stupid or whatever. You can go over that, but you don't need to be like, oh, these people are insects, and unfortunately for them, I exist. It's like, dude, you're the like, shut the fuck up. You're like the most cringe fucking person I've ever heard. Like, it's literally just like, yeah, you would. It kind of on some level is like the internet tough guy thing, right? It's like, yeah, I'm a fucking big giga chad on the internet because I don't know. Apparently, he says he had like a ghetto upbringing. I don't believe that person, like this person, has ever been decked in his real life. Like,
Hmm.
whatever.
Yeah.
To protect our other God-given rights. That is a prudent deal. It is rational.
And here's the actual context of Charlie Kirk explaining why the Second Amendment is necessary and how we can't resolve tragic gun deaths in this country without banning all guns, while providing a solution to school shootings by suggesting that schools embrace having armed security guards.
How's it going, Charlie? I'm Austin. I just had a question related to Second Amendment rights. We saw the shooting that happened recently, and a lot of people are upset.
Oh, we got a super
But
chat.
I'm seeing people.
Oh boy.
$20 super chat even.
Whoa, from who? Let's see.
Save Reg.
Awesome. Thank
3-3.
you for the $20, for $20 super chat. A better question would be if the cost is high enough. Sure, there will be cost of firearms being available, but is the cost of them being misused high enough to further lessen their misuse? Which is far more difficult inquiry. Yeah, so when it comes to gun crime, yeah, like that's obviously something to take into account in obviously to take into account. But we also have to address is how often are guns used in self-defense? Like millions of people in the United States owns guns, and uh, quite a low percentage of them are like commit crimes with them.
Yeah.
So you again, you just need to take that into account.
Yeah, and I was also going to say you're correct in pointing out that being the nuance. The reason that nuance is never addressed is because it's similar to like the pro-life, pro-choice thing. Like there's the extremes on either side have
Mhm.
like entrenched themselves in believing that there is like, prescriptively there is no reason for the other way to be even considered, right? Like the people like Birdman, like you would never, I think, get the Birdman to admit that there is a reason to have guns. Or like as at least not in this same scope, like everyone has a right to a gun, right? He would never
Yeah.
admit that's a good thing in any way, shape, or form. And similarly, some like other extremes, right, on the right would say like, oh, there's no reason to ever limit it at all, right? Or that they wouldn't acknowledge it as the cost, which is why I find it so fucking like. This is what I find unfortunate, I guess, because like Charlie Kirk, I think in this is being fairly reasonable. He's acknowledging the cost, right? He's
Yeah.
clearly pro one side of the argument, but he does acknowledge that the other side, like, yeah, no, he's not pretending to be mystified as to why people find it objectionable that many people get shot by guns per year, right? Like,
Yeah, like if he were doing the opposite and saying like gun deaths not real, like that would be something to call him out for. But instead, like he's trying to like he's doing something respectable, and he's addressing something that could potentially make his own position and worldview look bad, but he doesn't shy away from it. And again,
yeah,
I think that's a respectable thing to do.
yeah, like in a perfect world, even following his death, people would be like, quote unquote, sharing this clip and being like, okay, he said this, and yet, he ended up being tragically another victim of gun violence. Let's have a conversation about when the cost is too high, right? And then you'd be able to actually get into the, okay, well, is it too high a cost that like psychopaths and like crazy people like the Tyler Robinson guy will be able to get a gun and shoot a person, right?
Hmm.
It's like, well, okay, now you have, like you said, you have to factor in how much do people use it to defend themselves? How often? There's like a statistic, I don't even know how you could quantify this, but like how many times does a person have a gun on them and it prevents them from being attacked because the person's like, I'd rather not, get a 9x19 Parabellum in my chest at this time of the hour of
Yeah,
the night, right?
yeah. I think the last based on statistics, the latest conservative estimate of defensive uses of a firearm have been around the 70,000 range, which I think is like
Mhm.
way more than the amount of shootings in total that have happened in the United States.
Yeah.
Yeah, but again, like doesn't discount the actual shootings, but I just don't really I would like if I were to answer the hypothetical of would like banning guns, like if you could snap your fingers and get rid of all guns, would it get rid of gun deaths? Yeah, it would, but what does that say about all other crime in general? It would I would think it would probably increase because there would be a lack of consequences for them for people victimizing other people because they don't have there's less leverage or
Yeah.
less of a means to protect themselves.
Yeah, and I also just think pragmatically, like what a lot of people argue, which is like, oh, confiscate like whatever, like guns, or like instill some global licensure that you have to, like acquire to get a gun. It's like, man, at this point, it's not happening. I can just tell you that right now.
Hmm.
That's like not a realistic policy goal at all. How would you even, because all all of the people you'd want to take them from have fucking guns, man, right? Like it's not gonna work. Um, so like people can, like people can spurg out as much as they want about like, oh, the founding fathers made a mistake because they didn't consider that, you were going to go from like flintlocks to fully automatics, right, or semi-automatics. But it's like, I mean, again, there's a benefit and a cost to it. That's kind of that's kind of that, right? Like,
Right. Yeah.
Will
This is a
argue
pretty
for
long
the other
clip. Let's
side that
see
they want to take our Second Amendment
what
or
he
rights
says.
away. How do we convince them that it's important to have the right to defend ourselves and all that good stuff?
Yeah, it's a great question. Thank you. So I'm a big Second Amendment fan, but I think most politicians are cowards when it comes to defending why we have a Second Amendment. This is why I would not be a good politician, or maybe I would, I don't know, but because I actually speak my mind. The Second Amendment is not about hunting. I love hunting. The Second Amendment is not even about personal defense. That is important. The Second Amendment is there, God forbid, so that you can defend yourself against a tyrannical government.
This is always such a weird.
Oh my God. Is he one of those uh
the U.S.
well,
government would never be overthrown.
y-
Like,
yeah, well, let's see what he says.
This is so weird to me because as individuals, us bearing arms ain't gonna do nothing to a government, bro.
Okay, so immediately, what is the government, if not
yeah,
a group of individuals that are collectively that are
yeah,
acting collectively? And again,
yeah.
like
Like,
this is such a like a frustrating like line of argumentation because it assumes that so many things are the case without it necessarily being so. So he thinks that if the government just acts completely tyrannical, like it says, "Fuck the Constitution," I'm implement like
we're in
American
charge
Hitler.
now.
Yeah, like
Yeah, right.
we're like I'm going to be abusing the full like the like I'm part of the deep state. We're fully open. We're going to make you eat bugs. We're going to do whatever to you. Does he really think that the military, everyone in the military will say, "We'll just go along with it," or do you think like
Then yeah, exactly.
do you think they'll actually turn their own firearms on their families and say it, and abandon them? No, it's
Yeah,
going to there's going to be a divide. And just
yeah.
so we're clear, just so we're 100% clear, Jan and I are not Tim Pool. We're not like Civil War fetishists. I don't encourage uh
Simple
pe-
Civil War TM coming 2029 quarter three. I promise it's gonna happen.
yeah, but to be clear, we don't think like Civil War is anywhere down the line anytime soon. That being
Yeah,
said, like the status quo is not always permanent. Something that can happen down the line and not having like the certain barriers or checks and balances in place or like firearms, which serve, to be clear, serve as a form of leverage because an armed population is just objectively harder to oppress. Uh, it, it is useful to have these barriers in place for the unseeable future.
yeah, and it's also just like the reason this is so silly is because it's also like historically it's not supported at all. I don't need to go over the countless examples of governments that were overthrown by their populace. And it's like, oh well, that was like in France when they had muskets. It's like, okay, what about like fucking Francoist Spain and shit like that, right? You
Yeah,
can make those arguments, right?
and what
Like
about all the
all the Soviet Union is another one.
yeah,
All
so
of the
so
Banana Republic in Africa, right? Like,
yeah, and what happened afterwards with a ton of like authoritarian governments like the Nazis and the communists like immediately taking guns
mhm,
from people so they could be hard
from people. Yeah.
yeah so they could oppress
Yeah.
them. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And it's like to the slightest measure, I kind of get it, man. Like, his conceptualization of the U.S. government is this unbeatable juggernaut with like the most best trained, equipped military in the world. How the fuck am I, with my little 22 hunting rifle, gonna take that on, right? But that's just not, again, like you outlined, that's just not how that would play out realistically
Yeah,
when you consider, again, like the mens rea of the people, like how people conceptualize it. Realistically, what it would depend on really is like how valid the cause sounds, right? Like, there would probably realistically there'd be a splinter in the military. There would be people who defect to the rebels. That there would be again networks like with again the troubles in Ireland, right? That's a relatively comparatively modern example, and there was like tons of networks overseas to smuggle firearms and shit in there because people would have interests abroad in how this thing is going to shake out as well, right? Like, it's not this simple fucking Billy Bob and Cletus pick up their shotguns and try to fucking charge the Pentagon, right? That's not how it actually is going to look like.
yeah. I forget who like said this, but hold on, Calessa had to go. So saying goodbye to him real quick. But look, two things can be true at once, right? The United States can have like one of the biggest and technologically advanced militaries on the entire planet. And you can also acknowledge that they're not going to use like the bulk of the military on themselves if we have an internal conflict. A fighter jet, tanks, drones, battleships, or whatever's equivalent to any of those things, those are meant to absolutely decimate an enemy. But they are not useful. They're not successful in subjugating and enslaving the people of a home
Yeah.
nation. Like, if you the government doesn't it goes without it goes against the government's interest, the tyrannical government's interest to destroy their own country that they seek to rule, because then they would lose all power. So there's so a lot of people who rebel against the government, they're going to rely on guerrilla warfare,
Yeah.
and the government would have to respond in turn while simultaneously maintaining their unique
Yeah.
role in the world as a superpower.
Yeah. Like, the issue ultimately is, again, the government's objective, because again, this is and I kind of get it, right? Because like there's a conceptualization here, but it's like you can't think of this as the US government's objective is to kill everyone. That's not their objective in this
Hmm.
scenario. Which is like why then equally it's not their objective to fucking nuke major metropolitan areas, because they don't want to destroy all of that infrastructure. This is the problem with civil wars, right? Like,
Yeah,
you really have to consider how much you're prepared to sacrifice. And like, they also want to keep the loyalty, like, supposing there's going to be a loyalist populace to the government, they also want to keep them happy, right? Like, there's a lot of, this is not, again, it's a perspective that is overly simple of what would be an incredibly complex mess, which is why you should not want things to get that far, right? Because
yeah,
it is going to be an extreme like shitstorm. But also, yeah, it's not quite as simple as, again, the rednecks have a shotgun, we have an M1 Abrams and like B-52s, right? Like, it's, or like B-22, whatever the stealth bombers are, right? Like, it's not that simple.
yeah. But yeah, let's see what else is.
Like, what the government has compared to us will never balance out. So
Yes, again, so that it's exactly what we were saying before. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, the government has more like advanced weaponry at their disposal, but you can't. It would be idiotic for them to use it on themselves, because
Yeah.
we're in the same place. Like,
Yeah.
like whatever like fascist or communist president in this hypothetical scenario we're talking about, he's not going to nuke himself. That's retarded.
Yeah. Yeah, and equally, he's not gonna, like, what is he? Is he gonna nuke like California, right? Is he gonna nuke Texas? Is he gonna nuke, like the farm fields that are in the Midwest? No,
Yeah,
of course not,
he
right? Like,
these are like they bring a lot of like income into their nation. Like not having it,
Yeah.
like not having these states weakens them as a whole. He needs to
Yeah.
take them over. He needs to take them over again.
Yeah, and this hypothetical tyrant has to achieve all of this, defeating this hypothetical militia, whilst placating his loyalists in the government, placating his loyalists in his own like constituency of countrymen, right? Placating his loyalists in the army. It's a really fucking difficult thing to do, and it's why governments historically end up getting overthrown. Because like again, I think the conceptualization here is just false in the sense of like, oh, like you're on borrowed time before the government nukes the shit out of you. Like, no, the government's on borrowed time until the situation gets bad enough that they just deem the tyrant untenable and just someone puts a bullet in his head, right?
Hmm. Yeah,
Like,
that's another thing to keep in mind. You don't need to defeat the entire military. You just need to waste their time enough until everyone gets annoyed with the dictator
yeah,
and removes him
yeah,
from
exactly.
power. Yeah.
Which is why a lot of insurgencies operate on things like we will, things like we'll blow up a railroad. Like not only are you disrupting a supply line potentially, but also it's going to be fucking annoying to people, right? Things like poisoning water supplies or whatever, or like doing those kinds of things. It's like the populace is going to be fucking annoyed that because ultimately what the government is promising them in this hypothetical is safety and like order, right? And if they cannot uphold like that end of the deal, they're going to lose confidence, right?
Yeah. But yeah, like this is like we can go way more into depth on this subject, but because it's admittedly very interesting, even if it's not going to realistically happen anytime soon, like we said. But there's a great book called The Dictator's Handbook, where
Yes.
yeah, very good book that puts to rest this myth that dictators don't there aren't any rules or like standards placed on them on
Yeah.
dictators when there absolutely is. Yeah,
Well, yeah,
highly
even
recommend that
that
book.
one goes even further. That one goes even further, like considering like, okay, so like how are the nations abroad going to respond to this, right? How is like the UK going to feel about, or like France, or like Germany, or even Russia or China? How are they going to respond to the fucking U.S. government gunning down their own citizens, right? Like it
Hmm.
is really fucking complicated, right? Like
Yeah.
I don't know why it's become. Well, I know why, because again, it sounds about right, right? Like when you think about it, it's like, yeah, they have tanks and bombers, we have guns, right? That's not a recipe for a win. But the way you're going to face those tanks is not you're going to fucking run at them. Also, Molotovs do a number on tanks. I think the Finns proved this well enough, and 1940 was it? 1939. So like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
Like, this always been a weird argument to me. Like, it's to protect yourself from a tyrannical government. If I shoot one person of the militia that's coming, that the tyrannical government is coming to violate me as a sovereign, as a citizen, and I shoot him, what's gonna come next?
Uh, well, you're getting blown away because that's a stupid tactic. Again,
Mm.
like if you're going to approach like dealing with a tyrannical government in any competent or intelligent way, you're going to rely on guerrilla tactics where it's everything is incredibly coordinated and every action has has a higher purpose to it. It's not done without any thought.
yeah, yeah. It's just like look into this. This is genuine. If somehow this person ends up watching the stream for whatever reason and gets to this section, like just read up on any like examples of asymmetrical warfare in history. You'll
Hmm.
find that there's a lot that an armed insurgency can do to inflict damage on the government without necessarily just like killing like a military policeman or something, right?
Yeah, the Troubles are a pretty good example.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, am I gonna make it? This ain't GTA, bro. Like, with 6 stars,
I
you're
agree.
not surviving,
Hmm.
bro. You're not surviving.
Come on.
And if that talk scares you, wow, that's radical, Charlie. I don't know about that. Well, then you have not really read any of the literature of our founding fathers. Yep. Number 2, you've not read any 20th century history. You're just living in Narnia.
He's living in GTA actually. Get that right.
Yeah. GTA, all right, with 6
By the way,
stars. No, just kidding.
If you're actually living in Narnia, you would be wiser than wherever you're living because C.S. Lewis was really smart. So I don't know what alternative universe you're living in. You just don't want to face reality that governments tend to get tyrannical, and that if people need an ability to protect themselves and their
That's so funny that he says they tend to get tyrannical, and when it's happening, he was full throated supporting the person that's doing it. That's crazy to me.
Okay, well, that still doesn't refute what he said and why you
Yeah,
should
like
take measures to protect yourself. Like,
Mhm.
again, if that's your argument, shouldn't you still want to ensure that you're protected against
well,
people like Charlie Kirk or like Trump
yeah.
or whoever I assume he's
Well,
talking about?
well, if that's the argument as well, and people like this is what I don't understand. Like people will tout his point here as ridiculous, right? About people with guns can affect change. But like, surely if you think that Charlie Kirk was this, like, he was like the mouth of Sauron, effectively, all it took was one guy with a gun, and he's gone, right? I'm not
Hmm.
saying that's a good thing, but from their perspective, if that's a good thing, then surely you can see how, yeah, like this could a guy with a gun nearly killed the guy who's currently, who is currently actually Sauron, according to you.
Yeah.
So like, how can you not believe that guns allow you to have this? Like, if that bullet landed, right? Like, we would definitely not. I don't know what would happen, but I can tell you one thing: we would not have Trump as president right now, right?
Yeah.
So by your own logic, you can change. Like, one lone gunman can change the course of history.
Hmm. Yeah, and in the same way, not even just having a gun present, loaded, but not firing it, that can change that can prevent a whole bunch of bad things from happening. That alone.
Mm-hmm.
He was
Yeah.
down with everything Trump did, and I feel like there's an argument to be made that he is becoming tyrannical, and you right there with it. You're not exercising your two-way rights.
Okay, so would you, if Trump said, "Okay, give me all your guns for anyone who's not my supporter, give me all your guns," you would be okay with that? Or would you like to
No,
say
of
no?
course you wouldn't. Yeah.
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 communities
Yeah,
have
and
a
like
family.
again, it's this whole thing is sort of betrayed by, well, yeah, but Charlie Kirk agreed. Like, I don't know why do we presume that Charlie Kirk would consider what Trump is doing tyrannical when he's in favor of Trump. Of course, he's not going to consider
Yeah.
it tyrannical.
Yeah.
I don't disagree. I don't even disagree. You could make an argument that Trump certainly acts authoritarian in many cases, but like people like Charlie Kirk wouldn't be the ones. He wouldn't be on the side of the militia in the hypothetical anti-Trump civil war, right? Obviously.
Yeah.
Families. Now, we must also be real. We must be honest with the population. Having an armed citizenry comes with a price. And that is part of liberty. Driving comes with a price. 50,000 people die on the road every year. That's a price. You get rid of driving, you'd have 50,000 less auto fatalities. But we have decided that the benefit of driving, speed, accessibility, mobility, having products, services, is worth the cost of 50,000 people dying on the road. Wow. So we need to be very clear that you're not going to get gun deaths to zero. It will not happen. Right. You can significantly reduce them through having more fathers in the home.
Oh my God. You see what I'm talking about? I said that in one of my other videos. He just keeps acting like everything under the sun is going to get resolved if there's fathers in the home, when that's not even the way he's presenting it is not true. Like, yes, there are a lot of kids being raised by single mothers, but single doesn't mean there's no father or male present in that child's life. It means unmarried. That's how they quantify it.
Yes, okay, I agree, but then surely you'd agree with him that, assuming for a second he is addressing that, like he is addressing the hypothetical populace of they don't have any like meaningful father figures in their life, right? Like he would agree he's correct about that, right?
Yeah. Sure.
Single is unmarried. That does
Yeah.
not mean there's no male figure in that child's life.
Well, if Charlie were to address that argument, he'd probably say something along the lines of, "Yeah, but it's not the nuclear family, which has been shown through various studies, to like keep families intact and keep children on the straight and narrow. Like that's how he would probably respond to that. But yeah, like there are correct ways of like raising a family, and or well, not correct ways, I should say, just more so like efficient ways than
Yeah.
others. Yeah.
Yeah, like ultimately, and again, this is just one of those things where like there are going to be people who are going to have a different than nuclear family upbringing and then kind of turn out completely fine. That's completely true, of course it is. But like, it's about a broad template, right? Like, you will generally do better if you have both of your, you have two parents in a household who are taking care of the children, right? And possibly even grandparents, right? Like, you just do. It is not. It's not crazy to suggest that a closely linked like family is going to probably yield better outcomes than one that has constant like turmoil in it, right?
Yeah.
Is not what that means, because less and less people are getting married
By having more armed guards in front of
and just simply
Is
being
that
married.
true? Is that true? Is that how that statistic is quantified? It's like you don't have a father in the home if you're not. I don't think that doesn't make sense to me because
Yeah.
you're not a father as a factor of being married, right?
Yeah, like you can be divorced or
Mm.
something.
Well,
Yeah,
well, you could just be unmarried. You could just be like a boyfriend and girlfriend, right? But you could have children, and
yeah,
you're the father of those children, right? So
yeah, yes. A number of people are doing that. They're not getting married because there are certain things attached to being married, and that scares people away from like making that commitment.
Saberage has a comment I think is worth addressing. My issue is not more fathers in the home, but he should have said meaningful father figures because an abusive father or neglectful father figure is
Yeah,
still father in the house also makes sense. Because yeah, no, that's of course true.
yeah,
The reality, the thing is, with a lot of those outliers, though, it's worth remembering that like the exceptions make the rule, right? Yes, there are abusive, parents or fathers or mothers or anyone, any sort of parental slash familiar figure, but the reality is that they're going to be the minority. If they are not, then we have a much bigger problem, right? So
yeah. I just realized that I've been covering this gentleman's face for a good amount of the stream. Let me fix that.
damn.
I'll put you over here a bit more. There we go.
Does not
Going to
is not the deciding factor of a child growing up being a better suited person to live in society.
this is again like the framing here is fucked, man. It's not. We're not looking for like the deciding factor because ultimately you don't know, right? Like it depends on the temperament. Like it depends on the temperament of the child. It depends on the temperament of the mother. It depends on like, it could literally depend. Like it could. A child could go like off the rails independent of anything their parents did. Just look at who was the well, I guess it wasn't completely independent in any case, right? But like the Elliot Roger guy, the like crazy incel dude who like shot a bunch of
Yeah,
people.
yeah,
Yeah, like that guy. It's like he had a relatively normal upbringing. Like all he
yeah.
really had happen was his parents divorced and they
I
moved,
I would go so
right?
far. I would go so far as say that he wasn't even ugly, but he was just socially
He was
fucked.
just a retard.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah, and like he had a relatively privileged, normal, like upper middle class upbringing, as far as I understand it, if not higher class, right? So like there's no perfect recipe for what's going to cause someone to go postal, but there is general trends we can observe, and of course like this would be one thing to look at because it's one that socially as like a social malaise I feel we could all do a bit better to address,
yeah.
and the government could create incentives for it as well, right?
Yeah, like a family tax or something.
Yeah, like tax deductions, again,
Yeah,
tax
yeah.
deductions,
Family
tax
tax
credit, these things
reductions.
go
Yeah,
these things go a long way, right? Like in terms of having just like a child tax credit goes a long way. Um, in a lot of, I think, in some European countries, you have those. That could also just be like soft incentives, right? Like, or like more radical ones, like I don't know. Have you heard of the like you
in
could have more votes like per
in
child? Uh,
really like Like where
That's
is
not
that? Like
implemented anywhere.
okay,
That's not
okay.
implemented anywhere as far as I'm aware. But it's like a
Oh, okay,
theoretical
okay.
thing. I know Adam from SNA talks about it a lot. But it's like the idea is, when you have children, you get like more votes per child that you have in the household.
Hmm.
Which I don't know that I'm partial to that like entirely, but you know, it's an idea, right? Like
Yeah,
you could do many things as a
vote
government to
stockpiling.
incentivize families.
Just
Yeah,
vote stockpiling. All right.
yeah. Yeah, but like you could do. There's just to say that there's anything from like the softest of the softest to the hardest of the hardest that you could do as a government to address this issue. But it seems that it's just not something that really. I guess it's not fair. It's not something that's being addressed at all. But it's not really. People are less. People are less inclined to talk about it. Is all.
Yeah. I that's the first time I'm hearing about that. I'm not really sure how I feel about it, to be honest. Yeah.
Yeah. It's on the one hand, it's like man, I kind of get it. Like the rationale is you're trying to give more voting power in the hands of the people who have like a stake in the future of the country because they have children, right? On
Yeah.
the other hand,
You're
I don't know
giving
how
like
you
a
would stop.
you're
Yeah,
giving like that one guy from The Simpsons who's just irresponsible.
yeah,
Like there's just
yeah,
a bunch of like giving him a bigger say than
yeah.
like more
I think
responsible people.
yeah, I think there should be some like QOL standard for it, right? Like the family is together and you're actually raising the kids. It can't be just like you're fucking a big shagger and you go around having children with like every single prostitute, like yeah.
It's just not
Home.
true.
By having more armed guards in front of schools.
And that's just a
Wait,
stupid.
wait,
The
wait.
Jeets would get more
It's just
votes,
not
and they're
true.
not even American. Like, the Jeets can be American. They can become American. All right, I'll have you know.
Yeah.
Suited person to live
We don't
in
condone
society.
slurs. just,
Yeah.
just
Yeah,
to
yeah,
be
yeah,
clear.
yeah. We're an open and friendly channel.
Yeah,
It's just not true.
we welcome those who say the slurs, but we will not say it themselves. We also welcome those who don't like those people who say the slurs.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
By having more armed guards in front of schools.
And that's just a stupid. That's not pragmatic. It's not practical. It's not.
Okay, so this is something that frustrates me to no end. They think that having like armed security at schools isn't a practical solution, but like having mass gun bans, like that target legal gun owners who haven't committed any crimes with their firearms is practical and wouldn't be divisive. Like
Yeah,
that makes no
I
sense
don't.
to me.
Yeah, I don't understand it at all. I guess because it's like a romantic perspective, I think, where it's like, oh, we shouldn't have, we shouldn't have children go to a school where there's like people with guns surrounding it. But it's like, I mean, why not? Like ultimately, when you think about it on like a practical level, why not have why not have trained professionals? Because okay, sure, you don't like the good guy with guns thing. I kind of am. I generally am on the fence of like, people being like, oh yeah, if there's a guy with a gun, I'm just gonna fucking pull out my, my 38 special and fucking wing the guy, right? It's like, I don't know that you'd be able to do that. But okay, let's have trained professionals, you know?
Yeah, like look, in my high school, we had security. We had like police officers on patrol from time to time because it was a good high school. Like people
Mhm.
valued the kids. And
Yeah.
when I found out that other schools don't have like security guards, I'm just like, really?
Yeah.
Why? Like I just like that was just bizarre to me. And even in college, like when I would attend football games, we had armed security. We had like snipers on roofs, like to make sure that
Same.
that's
Same over
how
here.
that's how much they value like athletes.
Hmm.
So if you're going to put that much like if there's going to be that much importance on like sporting events, why isn't that same standard set for like where we send our kids to every day?
Yeah, exactly. And it's one of those just I don't. It feels like you've brought it down to like the level zero conversation, right? Where it's like, okay, everyone should agree with this, right? Like, let's assume, like, sorry, hypothetically, like, that's like that's the version of the argument for keep the guns that is like, okay, that's like at least agreeable, right? So like to say that it's like silly, I don't, or like unrealistic, I don't know why. Like, I mean, you could like again, there's no shortage of people who would be, I'm pretty sure, willing and able to do this kind of job, right?
Yeah. But yeah, Verde, you had your own snipers. Yeah, if you check out Big Ten football games, they have their own snipers like on roofs. Like
Yeah,
that
Washington Crowd and stuff.
they take the sporting events very seriously. Yeah, more seriously than the concept of having security at schools, apparently.
Logistically possible is not financially feasible.
Wait,
That's not
let me hear
By
that
having
again.
more armed guards in front of schools.
And that's just a stupid, that's not pragmatic, it's not practical, it's not logistically possible, it's not financially feasible.
It's not logistically possible or financially feasible to get like a couple of cops from the beat to be like, hey, could you stand in front of school like for, a couple
Yeah.
hours?
Perkins, you're on patrol duty near the middle school today. Yeah, they can't do that. It's instead of instead of sitting on your ass all day waiting for us to get someone for like driving slightly over the
Waiting
speed limit.
to waiting to pull over a guy because he was fucking doing a 37 on a 35 or whatever, right? Like,
Yeah.
come on. Also, like, sure, let's say you don't want police. You could literally get like, hey, you could get like veterans. I'm sure they would be willing to do it voluntarily
Yeah.
for free. I know plenty. I'm 100% sure there are like military vets, and I know like a non-shortage of military vets who would be willing to be like, hey, would you be willing to, let's say they get like paid, or maybe it's even like as a volunteering thing to start, right? Let's just stand around the school. Do you mind? And like keep an eye out, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I think that would be a great opportunity for veterans who don't have anything else to do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously get them like psych evaluated and everything first, but like if
Yeah,
they're cleared,
of
yeah,
course.
sure, just have that, right? Like,
Yeah, of course.
Putting guards at schools is not that's not a serious solution to the problem. That's
How is it not a serious solution? Like again, the Thomas Sowell quote, there is no such thing as like a straightforward solution. There are trade-offs, but what would you say? To me, like the trade-offs for this, like the positives greatly outweigh the cons.
Mhm. Yeah, exactly, and it's one of those where again, like the core of the argument here is that's just not possible, and it's like I don't know, man. I feel like especially in America, this would be pretty feasible.
Yeah, to me, it just reeks of it would make me slightly uncomfortable. But
Yeah.
that's not a good reason. That's not a good enough reason.
just
Yeah, or like it just doesn't sound right that because like the argument would then turn to, oh, it doesn't sound right that we need to do that, right? It's like, well, okay, but like let's live in reality and address the things that we actually need to do, right?
Yeah.
just a fantasy. It's just unserious to say that they need to be that it's
No.
With solutions
Oh,
from the
man.
Bright Layer Industrial Suite, you'll gain valuable insights into your key operations. Whether you're in the control room.
See, Simpleman 454 in chat, I'd do it. Look, the fucking KinoFlex PMC, one man deep already. All right, you can hire us if you need your children kept safe.
That's not a serious solution to the problem. That's just a fantasy. It's just unserious to say that they need to be that it's pragmatic to have armed guards at every school in America at all functioning hours. That's just not gonna happen. It's just not a thing.
You know what? You know what I noticed, Jan? When he was talking about like how armed, like how advanced the government is, he was saying that no, that's impossible. No one would dare step up to the government because of how many weapons they have. Yet when it comes to like schools, he's just saying, "Oh man, that's impossible. That's impractical." I feel as though he's contradicting himself a bit.
Well, yeah, he's like saying, "Oh, there's like too many, like there's too many schools. There's not enough manpower." It's like, I don't know, man. Like the problem is the job literally doesn't exist at the moment, right? Like if anything, we could try implementing it and see if it works, right? Like you lose nothing by doing it.
Yeah.
And again, like I'm completely confident. I'm so sure that there'll be plenty of people who would just be willing to do this, like who would be willing to volunteer to do this, right?
Like retirees and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly.
We should have an honest and clear reductionist view of gun violence, but we should not have a utopian one. You will never live in a society when you have an armed citizenry and you won't have a single gun death. That is nonsense. It's drivel. But I think it's worth it. I think it's worth to have a cost of, unfortunately, some gun deaths every single year so that we can have the Second Amendment to protect our other God-given rights. That is a prudent deal. It is rational. Nobody talks like this. They live in a complete alternate universe. So then how do you reduce? Very simple. People say, oh, Charlie, how do you stop school shootings? I don't know. How did we stop shootings at baseball games? Because we have armed guards outside of baseball games.
That's not the same thing. All you need is a freaking metal detector. And a metal detector isn't going to stop the school shooters because they don't be somebody that go to the school more often than not. They just come. So that's not... It's not because you have armed guards out.
Wait, that's not true at all. It is often a person who goes to the school and then they just get a screw loose, right? Is how it happens, number one. And like number two, it's not the same. I don't know, man. It's not exactly the same, but like it's like a proof of concept, right? Is the point. If you are able to get like enough people to do this, right? And yeah. I don't even, like metal detectors. There's metal detectors at schools in America, I'm pretty sure, and some of them there are, right?
Yeah, there are metal detectors.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just like, look, man. I just think this is again. It's the same point over and over again of like, oh, this just wouldn't happen. When it's like, I don't know how you could argue this like wouldn't happen, or like is like it's just like prescriptively impossible for this to happen.
Outside. It's because they have metal detectors. Like, come on, bro.
Why? How do we stop all the shootings at airports?
No, to be fair, there's armed guards there, but I'm saying people's not coming in with guns, and you're not gonna get that far. Okay, let me.
Okay, but you're not gonna get that far because of the armed guards, right? We'd agree.
Yeah.
Like
I'm so confused as to what his stance on this is.
Let me backtrack. Yes, there's armed people there, so people are less likely to approach that type of place with a gun. But again, the problem is that putting armed guards at schools is it's just a not serious solution to the problem. It's just not realistic. Y'all don't even want to.
Metal detector is just the stage name of the buff Osrian guy the school hired. Yes, bro. It's his code name.
It's his wrestling persona.
Yeah.
Yeah, but again,
the fool.
beat. I have 3 words for you, brother. Beep beep beep.
God bless. Yeah, you're gonna say.
Yeah, again, like he's saying, it's not a serious solution, but I don't know, man. Like we allow. We hire armed security. People hire armed security for much less, for like less important tasks. So I do think it's 100% practical and serious.
And a not
Yeah, like
fun school.
like the biggest objection that I think is like worth entertaining he's brought up to this is like the manpower, right? And it's like I just don't know, like I don't know how either of us could prove each other wrong on this, but I'm pretty sure it wouldn't be that difficult, right? To just find the manpower to do this.
Yeah, and again, like I this might just be me be a pro gun nut or something, but I like to think that if you're looking to get just bipartisanship approval, you're going to be much more successful in getting like armed security for schools than blanket gun bans passed.
Well, yeah, well, even the concept we talked about earlier, right, of the presence of a person who, as far as the kid knows, or like the hypothetical school shooter knows, is ready, willing, and able to use a gun themselves at the school would immediately rebalance the equation in a lot of their heads, right?
Right.
As much as possible. Y'all pulling away money from everything that helps society, but they even pull money from police departments. Like, let's stop. Let's stop.
I mean, is the money being pulled like a waste? Like, is it wasteful spending? Because if that's if the argument is we don't value wasteful spending in like it for instead for like a productive spending that actually accomplishes something, then yeah, that is what we're for. I guess broadly speaking.
This is like the problem of like it's like the anti-conservative like meme argument, which sometimes applies, sometimes not. But it's like you claim to want to improve society, yet you're not down to fund social programs, right? But it's like, well, yeah, I mean, conservatives are going to be a priori against more like social programs. That doesn't mean they would be against something like this, right? It
Hmm.
doesn't. The transient property doesn't work like that. They are against things that they consider wasteful. Now, uh, he and I might find agreement on some of those things not being wasteful, but
Yeah. Like some.
that's not to say that they would. That's not to say that conservatives would be like, I'm not down with people protecting our kids because the government, right? Like some might, but
Yeah.
no serious would.
Yeah.
Stop.
We have armed guards outside of airports. How do we?
Duh.
He says duh, but that wasn't always the case
Yeah,
before 9/11.
yeah, exactly. It
Yeah.
wasn't, as far as I'm aware, the like the procedure is much more extensive on U.S.
Hmm.
airports now than it is in like any country I've ever been in.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
There's less airports than schools too. Like, what are we talking about? And you got people coming from other countries coming to airports. Like, it's way more easy to manage an airport with armed guards than schools. What are we talking about? And financially,
What?
Maybe, I don't know. It's like I don't know how you'd evaluate this, because like on the one hand you could say, oh, an airport has a clearly defined like access point that every single person you're going to be testing needs to go through, but like you could just do that in a school, no? Right? Like you
Yeah.
could, yeah,
Yeah. Like sometimes like during drills we had like certain kids like went through that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like you could say the annoyance factor at school would be like the kids show up and then you have to like queue to get checked by the school TSA, right? But it's like, okay, well, I mean, you can adjust school hours based on that. That's not an insurmountable, like unsolvable problem, right? Like I
Yeah.
grant this guy, yeah, it would be a fair amount of changes to implement, but that they are not. None of these are like outside of the realm of possibility. They
Yeah.
already exist in some places, as far as I'm aware. So
Yeah.
feasible, and the benefits outweigh the cost of it. Yes, school shootings are rare. They are rare, but the solution isn't to spend who God knows how much money to have armed guards outside of all schools.
Okay.
I
I
mean,
don't
what
think
would
it
you
would be.
rather spend that
I
money on,
I don't
right?
think it
Like,
would be that expensive, to be honest, especially if you gutted some like useless shit that wasn't being productive.
yeah, like I couldn't honestly. Okay, yeah, I appreciate this sounds ridiculous, right, in the context of us ordinary plebeians, but like I couldn't see this going over a couple billion,
Yeah.
like a couple tens of billion, maybe.
And I think it also largely depends on like what the crime rates around the schools are. Like
Yeah,
it
exactly.
Yeah, yeah. Like if it's like a very down like crime ridden neighborhood, then yeah, there's it's probably going to be more expensive
Mhm.
than like safe like suburban area.
Yeah. Which is like that would be how you'd start it, right? Let's find a relatively high risk school and get like try to talk to the local PD and be like, hey, do you mind allocating like yay many police officers, or like we'll give you X much money, hire some more police and allocate them exclusively to this, right? And see where that takes us, right? Like,
Yeah.
Stop all the shootings at banks. We have
There's not armed guards at every bank.
armed guards outside of banks.
uh, yeah, technically there are at most though. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, like the ones that are like very that have high amounts of money. Like I understand like a lot of banks now are primarily digital,
mm,
but yeah, like there's still value in traditional banks. You're probably not going to get like a see like super buff armed guy at like a PNC bank, but like a traditional bank where money is actually stored, like gold and other
yeah,
other valuable items, definitely you're going to see like competent security.
yeah,
How
100%.
do we stop all the shootings at gun shows? Notice there's not a lot of mass shootings at gun shows.
Obviously, just having guns everywhere isn't gonna stop it. Like, this
There's
is
all
such
these
a stupid
guns.
argument too.
Okay, he said obviously and then said, okay, but just having a lot of guns is going to stop it too. Like yeah, they're going to
It's
be a deterrent. Like,
It's going to heavily disincentivize it at the very least. He'd surely agree.
yeah.
Because everyone's armed.
That's a stupid argument.
What?
I don't know that
he's right.
Yeah.
Like, people don't.
Yeah, it's just correct. Yeah, there's not that many mass shootings at like gun shows, as far as I'm aware.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't understand like what he's taking issue with.
Mhm.
I and like this is obvious, but it goes so far beyond the point of him saying, "Oh yeah, like I don't care about like victims of gun deaths." Like we're just past that point.
It's not really been addressed at all. That was like what the Birdman claimed he was doing in this clip, and he's not doing it. So
Yeah.
you know, it's a bit of a problem.
Money and our sporting events and our airplanes have armed guards. Why don't our children?
That was stupid. All banks don't have armed guards. Of course, the airports
Not
are
all
gonna
Scotsmen. Not all Scotsmen.
have
Not
guards.
all.
Excuse me. You have people traveling.
Well,
from
this
different-
is the thing is like, yeah, okay, sure. You know what? Yeah, he's in Logix. He's incorrect about every bank having, armed guards. You would agree, of course, that the bank that has armed guards is like safer than the one that doesn't, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's the point. The point is about the armed security helping to generally reduce. What was I gonna say? Like reduce the threats of gun violence, right?
Yeah. Or just really any threat in general. Like
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, exactly. Like the entire reason like shooting like shooters and shootings happen is because one person has the ability to very quickly and easily kill multiple people, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's not the case if they themselves can immediately just get capped, right?
Yeah.
To the world, you don't know what these people's intentions are, what they're gonna do, and getting on a plane with a weapon, what? That's not even a question of what of that should be something that's checked. What are we talking about? This is a stupid comparison.
What you need to understand,
mind you, like I said again, I've seen this one too, but these are my thoughts out loud. So,
Dad, I'm.
Oh no!
Oh no!
We're
Interrupted.
getting delayed.
That video does not change the context of the point.
It doesn't change the context of the point. Like you have to be
Which
insane
point?
to say that.
The first one,
I'd actually have. Yeah.
it does.
Yeah.
This one does not change the context of what the intent behind what was being said. Showing all that was pointless. Everybody knows that. No, not everybody knows. I'm not gonna say that. But yes, if you disagree with the idea of that, then it means you just don't want to ever agree with anything that comes out of Charlie Kirk's mouth. I don't think there's anybody on earth that's wrong 100% of the time. Like nobody, I don't think there's anybody that's just always wrong no matter what words leave their mouth. So there's times people can say things that you can agree with, even though you vehemently disagree with them on everything else that they stand for. That's just true. A cost that you pay with having guns in society is people are going to die from them, sometimes people that should not.
Okay, and
Okay.
and yeah, but he would also say, but in return, we save a lot of lives and we prevent a lot of bad outcomes from occurring because
Yeah.
because the gun acts as a deterrent. That's what people leave out in this conversation, and it's just so it's what makes it so malicious.
Again, it's the pastiching of like your opposition's point, right? They don't because again, people who are against it prescriptively, they don't think that like they are not open remotely to the possibility that guns might actually be affecting some good if like they're this widely available.
The Simple Man 454. I fly with guns, not often, but you can do it with several strings attached, of course. You can only fly carrying if you're a pilot or a marshal, though, as far as I'm aware. Yeah.
Which makes sense, yeah. Like, yeah, of course. Like the idea is you would need to, I would presume, because the similar thing, because I like to collect like swords and medieval weaponry stuff. It's a similar thing there, where you have to like get it checked, and there's like a whole bunch of hoops you have to jump through. But it is possible.
Yeah, but like yeah, air marshals would qualify as armed security on planes.
Of course, yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. Yep, let's see.
That's just a cost. People die in car accidents, like he said. Some people die from surgery gone wrong. That's a price you pay by having the surgery. You know what I'm saying? Chemo may not work for you, but we do these things in hopes of protecting something else or making something else easier for us. We could say we don't want any cars to have no more car accidents, and then we just spending more on public transportation or walking everywhere or using, whatever other way that's not as convenient. And so the price we pay as being a 2A country is that some people are going to die. That's true. That doesn't change the idea that Charlie Kirk advocated that it's okay to have some gun deaths by having unfortunate gun deaths by the fact that we
Okay,
guns.
I super agree with what he's saying, but like he's like I don't know if he's consciously, I would assume unconsciously, like improved the position. The position that he's saying, which I think is reasonable, is he did say that it is okay to have unfortunate gun deaths. That's just true. That is just objectively what he said. That's not
Mhm.
what Birdman is saying, though.
Yeah, it really isn't. Like he thinks he's advocating or he's showing his lack of care about gun deaths when that's not what that full clip shows
Yeah, like
at all.
Birdman's argument is this guy was okay with gun deaths, therefore it's okay that he got killed by a gun. That doesn't
Mhm.
make any sense,
in this
right?
country.
Like,
And it just so happened to be what took his life. So it doesn't change and again, he's saying this justifies his death, and that's not what's happening. The point is that this is something that Charlie Kirk was an advocate for, and it's just ironic that that's what took him.
I again, this is something that people say, and it's just gross because it's essentially saying, "Hey, him believing this is kind of what got him offed," and I don't agree with that at all. Like, because
yeah, it doesn't make much sense. Sorry, go on, go on.
yeah, because again, like in that question, he was like responding to he was responding to a question saying like he was debating someone over leftist violence, and then he was killed by someone who all evidence points to was a leftist.
Yeah,
Like
like it's again, like I said, if it was to bet, I would definitely, that would be my bet at this stage. Um, like certainly, of course, yeah. Like it doesn't make. I just don't know what the relevant is. Like the relevance is. It's just the intent behind it is the annoying thing, right? Because it's like, okay, you could even say, fine, man. Just like objectively, if we're going purely grammatically, yes, his death was a little bit ironic because he advocated for this position and that's what got him killed, right? You could say
yeah,
that. Why does that matter at all into the matter of like the nature of his death, right?
yeah,
Like it doesn't change anything. The intent is
and
clearly to say, haha, look, it's kind of fucking silly that he was advocating this and then he got killed by a gun. Which like yeah, you could even say that, right? Sure, but like
yeah, it doesn't
why
make
do
his
you
stance incorrect or
yeah, it doesn't make him wrong.
yeah,
Yeah. Again, like hypothetically, if we could like fucking fifth level resurrection ritual Charlie Kirk right now, and ask him, hey, do you know that this like happened to you? Do you still know this happened to you? Do you keep the position still? You'd probably say yes, I'd assume.
yeah.
Like,
He
and
probably
like
asked he would
yeah,
probably ask, okay, who arrested? What did the people arresting my killer use?
yeah, yeah,
Guns.
exactly. Like
Duh.
guns. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No,
Yeah, they
exactly. It's like one of those things where, like, yeah, there's so many hypotheticals you could run through this, but it's like I have no reason to believe that he would be like, even with the knowledge that this could get him killed, which he was aware that this could get him killed, like he still kept the position, right? So
yeah,
I just don't know that
it's
this is.
admirable.
I don't even know that this works as like an own, right? Like it
Yeah,
doesn't make any
plus
sense.
plus he knew like the risk of doing it. Like he had security.
Yeah.
It didn't work, but he did know like there was an inherent danger in what he was doing.
Yeah, exactly. I just don't. Again, it's not. The point of bringing it up is like, okay,
It
why do you feel the need to do that though, right?
it
Like,
it, it
what
just
does it
feels like
matter?
it's them to me. It communicates them trying to say, "Hey, if he didn't have these beliefs, he probably would
Yeah,
still be alive. If he had my beliefs, he would probably still be alive," which is
yeah,
ridiculous.
yeah. Because like the reality is, if he was a left wing anti 2A guy speaker, there's absolutely nothing guaranteeing that he won't get got by a crazy right winger, right?
Yeah.
Like, he wasn't, he wasn't in control of whether or not the fucking killer guy managed to get his hands on a gun, right? Like,
Yeah.
It's not to say like oh well, he's happy, or you know what I'm saying, like that's not the point. So the context of that doesn't change the idea that Charlie Kirk ironically died from a gun, which is something that he advocated for, is that unfortunate gun deaths are going to happen.
You know, this
when you
this
have-
is a new thing that I'll bring out. I'm debuting it on this stream, specifically regarding this. Okay, sure, fine. Let's just say he wasn't technically celebrating it. Why not? Let's go to that. Would you agree he was certainly trying to weaponize this death to push his political agenda? If this is what he's saying, right? Like this to be to like Logix and people who agree with, like, you know, who try to like defend this behavior constantly, you would of course agree that the people bringing up the Charlie Kirk quote about guns are trying to do so, like are trying to take advantage of the fact that this guy got killed by a gun in order to push, like, you know, their political beliefs about the Second Amendment.
Yeah, like I think he addresses what I had to say about this.
guns. That's not to say he's
Yeah.
supposed he's
When I'm
deserved
putting
to
it up on
die.
my video.
Thing about Birdbrain is that when he lies like he does in this video, he does so implicitly by omitting information from the viewer to have them come to certain conclusions on their own, instead of him just outright telling you what he wants you to think. Because you can't just clip these segments from the larger original context.
And also, if that's not enough to show you that he was an advocate for certain levels of violence, there's plenty of other times where you can clip him where he's advocating for a certain level of violence.
I am a product of teachers and an educational system that believed in providing the children with the full expanse of information that allowed them to then, and encouraged them to then reach their own conclusions and exercise critical thought in a way that was directly intended to nurture their leadership.
She didn't beat Trump at all, like when she ran against him, but she definitely gave him a run for his money when in using her hands when speaking.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
I am
I
fully
mean, I do that
aware.
too. I speak with my hands. I don't know
Yeah,
why.
yeah.
It's just it's like an impetus. It
Yeah,
is very
I
funny to watch. Though.
I do it all the time too myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That it is
Yeah.
because of that approach that I stand before you as Vice President of the United States of America.
I know what you're thinking. We got to get Joe Biden out of the way so we can run up against Cammie. Oh my goodness, is she beatable? It's like Black Hillary on steroids. Is she black? I guess she says she's Caribbean or whatever. It doesn't matter. She is. She gives these speeches and it just has this aura of totalitarianism.
I just feel like this is a perfect example of when they say sometimes the full context is even worse because it's just even more racism.
My team says she's Indian and Caribbean. I'll tell you what, she would be a lot easier to beat than Joe Biden. A lot. I mean, Joe Biden is a bumbling, dementia-filled Alzheimer's, corrupt tyrant who should honestly be put in prison and or given the death penalty for his crimes against America. But Kamala Harris, my goodness, there's something that just kind of is tribal where people are like, I don't know if I want this crazy person running the country.
I just looked this up.
Okay, so what?
Yeah,
I guess
I don't agree with him, but you know, it's not like he's not saying that Joe Biden should be fucking assassinated, right? Or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah. I'm confused as to how that's advocating for his assassination. Look. I think that's like a cringe comment. I think this is just like him. This is red meat posting. Essentially,
Yeah.
This is just him catering to like a right wing audience. Biden, dark Brandon bad or Brandon bad. But
Kamala also bad and probably not black, you know.
yeah, but saying someone should get the death penalty, that's not a call to action. Well, it's like a call to legal action, I guess, but it's not saying, hey, someone needs to take this guy out. In the
Yeah.
same way, like this guy needs to be like shot in the head
Yeah.
in this like in public. Like
So-
that is different. He's saying that he should be put through a trial or like a lengthy legal process to prove his
Which
guilt.
he believes he'd lose. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. To be clear as well, this is like, I would consider this pretty irresponsible. I don't know that this isn't good, right? This isn't helping the health of the discourse at
Yeah,
all.
yeah.
In fact, it's probably horrifically negative. But
Yeah,
like, it's
sure.
not. It's not again. It's not an explicit call to violence. You could say that, and like I would extend the same. Like I think the people who were saying like, oh, the left-wing media or whatever is definitively to blame, or like the left is definitively to blame for Charlie Kirk's death beyond the one probably left individual, right, at this stage that did the killing. It's like, well, no, I think the reality, I think I was saying it in the server the other day, but like the people need to acknowledge is there is an incredible incentive on both sides presently to keep upping the temperature of the discourse, right? And like both sides need to just agree to, okay, we'll dial it back, because comments like this aren't good. And then of course saying that Charlie Kirk is a Nazi is also not good, right? Like,
Yeah.
Where people are like, I don't know if I want this crazy person running the country.
I just looked this up,
yeah.
Charlie. I didn't realize this, Jack. The last time that in Belarus they used capital execution here was in 2019, and it was by firearm.
Yeah, that's how you should. By the way, this is my other problem with death penalty. It takes too long, too many
Too
appeals.
expensive.
It should be public. It should be quick. It should be televised.
Well, this can't be right, can it? The last execution in France was guillotine in 1977.
100% true. They used the guillotine.
Until
the whole way.
77?
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
There's videotape of it.
Honestly, that's like what we should be doing, and I agree. It should be public
And
should be public
televised.
square.
By the way, you could fund
Force
the
kids
government
to watch it.
You could have like brought to you by Coca-Cola. And no, I'm not kidding. By the way, I would totally tune in to see some pedo get their head chopped off.
bro, are you what the fuck? Are people gonna be tuning into the fucking Bud Light beheading? What? Like, Jesus Christ, man.
I'm kind of imagining it be done the way of like a Japanese game show or something with like weird sound effects.
It does like the fucking where the guy's head goes. Yeah, okay, this is retarded, by the way. I think, but like, yeah,
This is just like a soft. This is calling for like a soft Squid Games almost.
Yeah.
I feel. Yeah, so this is
You have-
dumb.
you-
This is dumb, but
Yeah.
it's just like bring back public executions essentially. Like, and
Yeah,
again,
BMX.
which again, it's not. It's you could say it's dumb. Yeah, you could say it's dumb, but it's not a call to action because again, he's calling for a punishment for people who have been proven to be guilty of like the worst crimes imaginable. Like he like he says pedophilia.
Wait, yours?
That's gonna get
No,
called
I'm talking about a real thing. I'm not talking
All
about
executions in Belarus are by firearm. That's
No,
not a choice or anything.
Andrew's saying don't make kids watch it, and I think no, the
Well, I
absolute
think at a
opposite.
certain age,
At
it's an
16,
initiation.
16, if you can drive, you can
No, but
watch
hold
it.
on.
Not
You
even
see,
16,
if
I would
all of a
say-
sudden you look at some of these savages, like in Indiana, there was this guy that went in and killed a pregnant woman and her 3 kids.
Yeah.
And you know what? I want to watch that execution. That'll make my day better. I want to see him on a public block and get him be publicly executed. And I think that would be justice. You think children should have?
Stream.
You should see. What is the age? At what age should you start to see public executions?
16.
I think you could do it earlier. I think maybe at age 12.
Can you imagine if that was actually the case? Like it was on YouTube or something. It's like, all right, but before we get to the beheading, we have some super chats.
Yeah.
God damn it.
Yeah, but before we shoot this guy in the head, here's our word from our sponsor.
Raid Shadow Legends.
Yeah, Raid Shadow Legends.
Dude, Raid Shadow Legends would 100% sponsor an execution. Are you kidding me? They definitely would.
You are a person, they're old enough to you don't need to like really wallow in it and have them be broken on a wheel or anything. But if it was something like chopping, if we had a guillotine or something,
I think it's the age where they can't be
pay-per-view wood chipper.
I think there's too early and you become desensitized to maybe like this. I think it's when you can actually embrace.
But it should also be taken in a holy way.
The meaning.
No, I don't mean holy in a bad way. I mean that like this is heavy.
Like, this is the
bluntly,
meaning
we
of
have
it.
kids who are 14 who are committing carjackings in
100%.
cities and doing
Yes.
bad stuff. And I think
you're
if you
probably
sent the
right.
message to them, if you do a bad crime, you will die, and it will be like this, and that
No,
will
but
be
just-
you.
just
But I think it's
Yeah, so just very
message.
quickly, because there are people, I genuinely think I maybe should explain why I think this is so silly. Fear works to a point, right? But like, it's not, it's like the scared straight idea. But like, more often than not, you'd probably just instill, number one, revulsion in people. Number two, you're running the risk of completely desensitizing the population to violence. And then, the third issue is like, man, the family of the person who did this, it's not fair on them either, I don't think. right? I appreciate what he did is what the hypothetical person did to the families of the victims, right? Is not fair, but like they're still a human being who had people who were unaware that they were like this monster, and now they have to like be like, oh, that death is going to be televised or something,
Yeah.
right? Like it's not. Um, for the same reason, like it's horrific to see like Charlie Kirk get shot. Obviously, the difference there being this person hypothetically deserves it, right? But like,
Yeah, I'm not
I don't
sure.
think
Like,
public executions are fair.
yeah, I don't think like I understand like they're trying to say like, oh, it would deter people from committing more violence, but to me, it just reminds me of like the like pedo hunting, where
Yes.
you just like like you could say you could say that they're like doing a public service uh by like exposing pedophiles, but really like them beating up like these guys, even if they deserve it, they're just primarily like
Yeah.
we're like trying to appeal to people like who like seeing people beat up.
Yeah, and it's also that's the added consideration of like because like this would of course be carried out by the state for state money, and it's like, are you really comfortable giving the state the ability to like publicly execute people? Like this is kind of why I'm against the death penalty holistically. Is I just don't think that the state should have the ability where the prosecutorial incentives are on the state to prosecute, right? That they should also have the ability to then execute.
Yeah. Yeah.
Would be younger people get involved with that because they're with around older people who do those things.
I want you to imagine
And gangs.
every day, all of a sudden they said, and today, remember that awful the guy that went and shot up a school? Because, left hates school shooters, and so do we. But they focus on the gun. I think they're evil. So, you take one of these school shooters, and they say, today we're going to publicly execute this person. And
About
they read
the
off
Super Bowl.
No, yeah, the shooters at the Super Bowl thing, and you read off what they did.
parade,
And
not the
you
Super
don't celebrate it. You just say, look, this is what they did. And if you do this, this will be your fate. Ready, set, go. Boom. End of life. And say,
guillotine.
I just a
Scared
question
Straight used to be a whole TV show.
No, but
like, this is
as a
Scared
question-
Straight for everybody.
Here's a question for anyone that might be, not persuaded. Would crime go up or down?
It would go way down.
Done. So that why is this even a question?
Well, they'll say it's not a deterrent, and it's not because
Okay, so look, I understand like people can take issue with their arguments, but you need a little more than just having like a lazy on-screen text saying there's no proof of this dot dot dot. Like actually make a response, like have an argument.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah, like it's just go.
because like for like the death penalty, like I do see that like people argue that there's no meaningful deterrent associated with the death penalty. And my question is why? Why is that? Because is it because people genuinely aren't afraid of like potentially dying if they commit a horrific act, or is it because and I think this is the case, like so look this up like independently, but I think the majority of like of people who are sentenced to the death penalty ultimately get it overturned on appeals. Like that's just how it's how it is currently. It because there are like a lot of organizations that are dedicated to overturning death penalties, like the Innocence Project. And
Yeah.
I know like they don't prove they are innocent per se. Like actual Justice Warrior on YouTube, who is like who is who dedicates his channel to critical subjects. Like he points out like how the Innocence Project really uses loopholes to get people out of the death penalty, but he doesn't but they don't necessarily prove that they didn't commit the crime.
Yeah.
Like what they do is like they find a loophole in cases that are like decades old, and
Hmm.
they say, okay, we need to have a retrial because of this loophole, and because most of the witnesses are either too like old or dead, like and or like most of the witnesses, detectives or victims are like old or dead. They say, whatever, like you can leave. Like they just have no trial and then just
Yeah.
allow the person to be released, even if they commit the crime.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just the practical. This is like the problem I guess holistically with the death penalty is there are just people who fundamentally find it objectionable. And like, you know, the people who are in favor can obviously, your answer can 100% be like, well, fuck those people, they're wrong, right? But like, those people do exist, and they will try to find ways to avoid the death penalty, like, being administered regardless, because they just principally disagree with it existing. Which it's again, like, I get the whole, oh, life in prison, they get to be kept alive and like taxpayer money or whatever, but it's like, I don't know, man. Ultimately, I think life in prison is like good enough. Or like consecutive life sentences they can get here, which is pretty funny.
Yeah. Okay.
What if they find immortality and they survive? All right, then what happens?
Of course, it's a deterrent.
And our current system is just as dumb as it could possibly be.
You get a last meal. No, they should make you eat bran.
It's not. It's only done for a tiny minority of even murderers. Only a handful of murderers actually get it, and then their odds of getting executed are very low. And it happens 25 years later. You have to run articles in the newspaper to remind people why this bad person was on death row in the first place.
I'm going to tell you, this is what's so frustrating about American culture. I mean, we took all the best parts of Greek culture.
Yeah, I do
Roman
agree with
culture.
that. That is the annoying part with the execution being as delayed as it is. What is the guy's name? There was like a case recently of a guy who was executed, and the entire, like, there was so many people saying like, what did he do? Why did he, like, why was he executed? It's like, because he literally just, they literally don't remember because it was so long ago. And then you have to explain, well, this guy like ate babies, right? That guy didn't actually do it. He did something pretty fucking horrific, though, right?
Yeah.
But people would be like running defense for him because it's like, oh, and partially it is like, as I said, because they're just principally against the death penalty. But it's also like, oh, he was innocent. It's like, well, you don't know anything about the case, man, because it's happened like, fucking 1983 or something.
Yeah.
French culture and the revolution and everything else, and we didn't keep this part. Like, we have the Colosseums for sports, but we don't have it for this. I totally agree with this sentiment. Is like, we should.
I mean, okay, that's stupid. We don't have fucking gladiatorial combat anymore, right? Just so we're clear.
I don't know. I feel like he'd probably say, "Well, football is kind of gladiatorial without the deaths and the lions."
And everything that makes it gladiatorial combat. The thing that I would go for typically, like, because this is like also why I think that is just something. I don't want to, like, because I'm not religious, I don't want to go into religious speak, but like something askew about feeding into like people's desire, like bloodthirstiness, because it very much exists. Like, everyone says they don't like violence, but the UFC constantly posts like record numbers, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like, people say they don't like violence, but fucking everyone watches, right? So
true.
Make it like a celebration.
No, it should be a heavy thing.
It should be a heavy thing. It's corporal punishment.
By the way,
it's capital punishment.
Now, even with
Okay, so they went from saying like, oh yeah, have sponsorships, like, for it, to saying like, yeah, it should be a heavy thing. I don't know. I feel like that they're just kind of shooting the shit there. They weren't really like. I don't know.
This is like the thing. I said it before. Like, you could, if you want to go after any political commentator, you will 100% find some gamer clips, just so we're clear, of them saying some very interesting, very interesting things. But like, no, absolutely, Charlie Cook that at no point said that it should be this. Oh yeah, like, it's like, I don't think Charlie Cook was unironically in favor of the fucking Bud Light beheadings. All right, I think he's just like, yeah, you should take it seriously, but it should also be something that actually happens.
Yeah, but like, more importantly though, is at no point did whatever you say amount to, oh yeah, this is equivalent to calling for political violence, because capital punishment and public assassinations are two wildly different things.
Completely different, yeah.
Yeah.
That conversation he had with the kids seeing execution is all, like I said, all of this is just ironic. He was pretty much executed publicly.
Also, I do want to say, because I saw some people being like, again, their response, like, what about the families, right? It's like, okay, if we really want to go down this like tree, right, of like the families of the people that the guy's like assaulted, right? What about the families of the people who have to watch their loved ones who turn out to be innocent 10 years after the fact get fucking publicly executed? What about those people? This is why this is such a, I don't want to get like one guide by the death penalty, right? But it's like, it's always like, people are like, yeah, but we'll make sure that it's not a false positive. It's like, okay, how? Right? Like, you actually just don't have a way to do it.
True.
Look at how many people get given like life sentences and are released like 30 years after the fact because it turns out they were completely innocent. That can't happen with the death penalty, especially if it happens in 5 years or something.
There's people like Stevie Knight advocating, oh, that's traumatizing. He wanted this to happen. And now I'm not saying that he's on the same level as somebody that's getting the death sentence. They're getting a death sentence. That's not to say that he's that type of person that being executed. But he advocated for people and children to see that. And I just think it's weird that as a Christian that you want to play God. Like I'm still somebody that's battling with how I feel about the death sentence. I don't have a hard stance on it personally, but I would think as somebody that says they're a Christian that being able to dictate who dies and who lives is kind of odd to me. I don't think those two ideas can mesh together.
Okay, so again, like I'm someone who like goes back and forth on the death penalty too, but like it should be said that if you're going to say, "Oh, well, you're Christian, you can't be for the death penalty." Christians historically implemented the death penalty. Like the Vatican had at one point had its own executioner. Like you can be Christian, like certain denominations, yeah, they reject it. But other denominations, yeah, they're pro death penalty, and there are debates over it to this day. But yeah, I don't
Yeah.
really. You can be a Christian and say that you support the death penalty. Like some people
Well,
like
the thing
say,
that
"Oh, go ahead."
go ahead. You finish. I'll go after.
Yeah, like this is something that bothers me with like the pro-choice or like pro-choice pro-life debate when people say, "Oh, well, you're pro-life, so that means you should be pro-life in all circumstances." Well, no. Like when people say they're pro-life, they're specifically talking about abortion, like
Yeah.
in the womb. It's not this being pro-life isn't this like super like
Everyone
ultra
needs to live.
pacifist. Yeah, this ultra
Yeah.
pacifist thing because there ultimately is a difference between and I understand like not everyone is religious, but there is a difference between like what uh like the relationship with God and the relationship with society. Like if you like did some personal like grave personal sin, you can you can repent to God, but the repentance towards the society is different. Like there
Yeah.
yeah, God can forgive you, but there's a more of a there's more of a punishment associated with society in the
Mhm.
material world. If that
Yeah,
makes
and
sense, yeah.
yeah, it does. Like, well, the idea is there's nothing to say that, just because we executed a person that they can't, find redemption with God, right? It would be the idea. Um, I just think that it's super cringe to be like trying to immune people over religion on like points like this. Specifically, I think it's very stupid as well. It's not effective because Charlie could subscribe to a denomination. Like by his own admission, he's not a theocrat, and he could subscribe to a denomination that like views this differently. Saying that it's weird as a Christian, it's like, okay, well, you might be a Christian and you view it this way, but that doesn't preclude other Christians from having disparate opinions on it, right? Because the entire point of the religion is interpreting the Bible, right? As far as I understand it. So like, yeah, it's just weird. I'm super sympathetic to what he's saying, like in principle, obviously, but it's also yeah, it's different, right? It's not a call to violence, and the reason I think Charlie Kirk substantiated it as we need to disincentivize crime, right? His idea is like basically, fear will keep them in line, which is also an idea I don't think works. But it probably would reduce crime rates, right? Like he's probably
Yeah.
right about that. The thing is, there would be I would say there'd be other negative exigences to it that aren't really being considered when people talk about it. I think they really zero in on the crime and not the other potential consequences.
Yeah.
Despite how much you think somebody is wrong and evil, in my mind, I would think that as a Christian, you don't feel like you can decide who lives and dies as just another man. To me, that's an idea that I don't know if you could really square that circle as a Christian, but even just the idea of being willing to introduce kids to seeing something so violent, so heinous, whatever, whether it be a guillotine or a firing squad or a one shot or whatever. I don't even know if they still like have people come watch that anymore. I don't know. Like the lethal.
Yeah. So two things. Like I again, like for the Christian point, like Christians aren't like this. I oppose this idea of Christians being this like super ultra pacifist. Like, I oppose this idea that they're hippies essentially, because if they get attacked, they're completely justified to use force in return. I I, I think any Christian will tell you that, or, like who is actually of the faith. But yeah, but I do like agree with him to an extent. I do agree with him like on the like showing kids public executions point, because it is weird to like to be clear, if you're like anti certain depictions of certain relationships, let's just say in cartoons, but you are in support of showing public executions of living people. I do think that is a bit weird, if one is mature to see one thing but not the other. But also like
Well,
it could depend on the age.
you
But yeah.
understand what we need to do is we need to show people who do those relationships getting executed. What? What? Sorry, my mistake. No, like, yeah, no, it's just the kids. And again, this is like where I think, like, I mean, Charlie Kirk had a habit of just like giga chatting it, so to speak, when it comes to like some of his positions, just being like, yes, I'll go so hard in the paint, um, as to like basically be like, yeah, fuck yeah, I own it. Chad yes, whatever, right? But like, you can't really Chad yes showing people like showing children public executions that are specifically carried out in like a violent nature, brought to you by Raid Shadow Legends, and like people
Yeah.
agree with you, right? Like you lose a pretty sizable amount of the audience when you do that.
Yeah, like that is something to like criticize him for. But the problem with how it's presented in this video is that it's not really relevant to the point being made in regards to like violence.
Yeah. Yeah, no, exactly. Like he clearly wasn't advocating like extrajudicial killings, if we're going to call them that, right? So
Yeah.
Injection and stuff. I don't know if people come and see that. I don't know, but it's clearly, I think it's humane. Even when they do it, I think it's humane. And he's just advocating to like blow people brains out or whatever the situation. It sounds like it's always got to be graphic, and I don't know why you're like, yeah, let's subject the kids to it. That can be traumatizing, even if the person's evil. Like, like if y'all saw the
Sure.
Green Mile, what if something goes terribly wrong and it becomes like a freak show of something that you ain't supposed to necessarily see? Granted, he got, they did it on purpose. Well, somebody did that on purpose, but nonetheless, the point being is that it just doesn't align with who he claims to be. I just don't see how you're a Christian advocating to have public executions, especially for kids.
Say that you just made an innocent mistake. You have to be actively malicious in both misquoting and mischaracterizing him, as Burberry clearly attempts to frame Charlie Kirk as someone who actively encouraged political violence. By falsely presenting him in this way,
You a Warwick main?
no, I'm a Darius and Brawl main.
Hmm.
I'm a Darius enjoyer.
All right. I remember like when I did play League of Legends like years ago, I enjoyed playing support roles like Lux.
Oh, fair.
Yeah.
Fair.
I'm not
In
clear.
actual League of Legends now, I play Kled. I play a crazy southern gerbil man who wants to get people off his property. But in 2XKO, I play Darius and Brawl.
If he said, if Birdman said he advocated for political violence, did Birdman say political violence? I don't think he did.
Strange position to take there, Mr. Lee.
If he didn't, just so we're clear, if he just said all violence, then his point is just retarded, because everyone agrees with violence, just so we're clear. On some level. Outside of like the most fringe pacifists, who I don't even believe that if the chips were down, they wouldn't stoop to violence, like everyone agrees with violence.
Yeah.
When Charlie Kirk himself did exactly what you called these people psychopaths for. I mean, Kirk gleefully asked for a hero to bail out Pelosi's assailant.
If some
So he didn't specify political violence. It feels like he's kind of implying that. But I don't even know if it's fair to say he's advocating for political violence. I think the point is that Charlie Kirk advocated for the things that ended up being his demise at the end of the day.
Well,
Not
that
at
wouldn't be
all.
true. That wouldn't be true either. To be fair, like Charlie Kirk didn't advocate for random crazy dudes grabbing guns and shooting a person.
Yeah,
Like
he was
he
like
didn't advocate for that.
he was supporter of law and order. Like that would go against his
Yeah,
principles.
yeah. Like he wasn't in favor. The thing is, you'd have to remember he wasn't in favor of vigilante justice. Would be the real thing.
Yeah.
And but like I said, the first clip is a little bit out of context, but let's not forget, the clip I just played, he was advocating for Joe Biden to be to get the death sentence because he disagreed with him politically.
Well, no, okay, so again, capital punishment is distinct from extrajudicial killings. Like he's not calling for
Yeah,
him to be murdered. He's calling for him to be investigated, tried, and found guilty of numerous crimes that would,
yeah. I mean, he'd say
yeah,
treason, right? Would be the big
yeah,
one. So
treason. Yeah, like he thinks he's a traitor to the United States. It's not simply for
yeah,
disagreeing with him politically.
Joe
yeah.
Biden hasn't clearly displayed any treasonous acts.
Yeah, I also think that people who are like ultra libertarians like Dave Smith, he would say that like every like a bunch of politicians should be like thrown in jail.
Executed
Yeah,
or
right.
put in prison.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if he believes in the death penalty, but he does.
I don't know either, actually. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
fair.
he does. But he does. He is very anti-war, and I think he would say that like a lot of mainstream politicians are culpable in war crimes. Uh,
Yeah, no, he'd
get
probably
out of it
say that
because
about he'd certainly say it about Trump. I think he said it recently, right? So,
yeah, yeah,
which I think is retarded, but
yeah,
anyway.
yeah, yeah. But again, like that's not like those aren't death threats or anything like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and you wouldn't really say that Dave Smith is in favor of political violence because of that, right? Like,
Yeah,
I don't think that'd be. I also don't think that it'd be reasonable, because people say this shit. People on the left say this shit about Trump all the time, just so we're clear, right? Like that he should get the death penalty and that he's an evil man. And as much as you may or may not believe that, right? Like when people say that he should be tried and he's a traitor to the nation, right? They are also not calling for political violence necessarily.
yeah.
Even if he did, does that necessarily mean he has to be killed? That's up to Charlie Kirk to decide, I guess, apparently.
Is trying to communicate to his audience that Charlie Kirk got what was coming to him as a form of karma for encouraging political violence.
Yeah, see, no, that's not a fair interpretation. That's not a fair interpretation.
I mean,
I don't know, isn't it? Like
what else could be the implication? What else is the reasoning of including those clips like that?
Yeah, this is the thing that I don't really understand because people would say, "Oh, it's just to provide the factual information about Charlie." It's sure, I guess. I don't know. It's the reality is surely even Birdman would agree that the point of showing that there is that oh, Charlie, literally it is because his point is that Kangman Lee. So if we're tracing the argument, right? Kangman Lee says, "I called people celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk or encouraging violence against." What happened to Charlie Kirk, hags and psychopaths, right? And then he says, oh, well, curiously, Charlie Kirk also encouraged that. So by your standard, he should also be a psychopath. I guess that's not Birdman technically saying that explicitly, but
Yeah.
he is saying that Charlie Kirk did all of this bad shit, right? I don't know. What's the read on this? Is it just Kangman Lee is wrong, which sure, I guess. It's so weird when you take the clips and you cut them out of context and you do no research to be oh, you're not cool, but you're not cool with characterizing him that way. Actually, it's
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
why?
I just don't see how someone could look at the very least this portion of my video, like the bulk of it right here. I don't see how they can say that Birdbrain was acting ethically here, was
Yeah,
acting in an appropriate way. This part of the video, again, I'm willing to hear people out on, and I want to clarify my positions on this segment of the video, since again, at the start I said not a whole lot of people seem to have understood what I was saying specifically. But yeah, like this portion, I feel is just pretty cut and dry.
That's just pointing out the irony of what happened to this man. Is not to say he deserved it, and that's a strong claim to make that I don't think is obvious.
Okay, but like,
Or
so then, sure. What do you suppose? It's like people just completely are like, or some people are completely unwilling to take that next step. What is the point of pointing out the irony? To what end? At the very least, he said.
Oh, I think you cut out. Hello, guys. I think we lost Jan. Oh no. Give me a second. Great, we're buffering. Hold on. Uh, this sucks. Give me a second, guys. Not sure if you can hear me, but we're buffering on my end.